Welcome to Human Factors Cast, your weekly podcast for human factors, psychology, and design.
Our live coverage, maybe our not so live coverage of this year's event. My name is Nick Roome, and joining me today I have Mr. Frank Lacson, and Nicole Baah has been out on the floor throughout the entire week, also working hard behind the scenes. We have Erin Gustafson. We are right now at a point where it is late Thursday and we have not produced a live stream yet, and there's a very real reason for that. Sometimes you encounter technical issues. Talking to wonderful people and getting them to share their passion for the field of human factors was not one of those technical issues, I'm happy to report. We are facing issues with the internet on site, and so we are unable to give you a live stream this year. What's going to follow here is the collected content that we have gathered throughout the conference. And I sincerely hope that you enjoy the conversations that we had, because this year had some of the best conversations that I can remember from talking at this conference with folks. I don't know what else to say. And so with that, I'll kind of just leave it up to the content to speak for itself. But I hope you'll forgive us. We've taken a little hiatus. We're a little rusty, but I promise this was not our fault. We're literally recording this here in the studio at the end of the day on Thursday. So without further ado, please enjoy all the wonderful we've had at this year's HFES Aspire here in Chicago. And we're back continuing our coverage from this year's HFES Aspire 2025 in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Teresa House. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Nick. This is exciting. My first ever podcast.
Oh, your first podcast. I'm so excited.
Yes.
So Teresa, what brings you here to HFES? Why are you here?
Well, I'm a practitioner of occupational ergonomics, and I've been doing it for over 30 years.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to come here and see the latest research and papers and all the excitement.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you're sort of, as I understand it, you're kind of noticing some themes in the field?
I am. So several things I've noticed is a real pivot toward, as we should be embracing modern technologies, AI, virtual reality, wearables, motion sensing. And that's exactly where the field needs to go, I believe.
Yeah. So what's particularly interesting about adopting some of these maybe novel technologies that are coming into the field?
Well, the opportunity to broadly implement some AI software can help a lot of people simultaneously, rather than having an individual ergonomist coming and doing assessments, right? So I'm in the field, I've got my camera, I've got a tape measure. I can do that, and I love doing that. However, I can only help one person at that time. If you implement some of these AI software, 3D imaging capture technologies, you could implement that across everyone's phone in your company, in theory. Video all of the concerning tasks and quickly get a ranking, high, medium, low risk for those applications.
Right. So there might be some who say AI is going to come and take our jobs. I'm not one that thinks that, but to talk to that point, you know, if you have this AI software looking at a workspace and an individual and doing the work of an occupational ergonomist, what would the role of an occupational ergonomist be as it relates to those types of software?
I think it even becomes, to me, more effective, because now I can look at all the if I get hired in that situation, I can look at all the high-risk tasks and fine-tune it and say, you know, according to my experience in watching this video, because the capture is off by some percentage of accuracy, right? The capture software. which I've seen in some of these presentations. It can be 10, 20, 30% off of the angles, the distances, et cetera. So, but I, as an expert, could still come in, fine tune that, and give you, hey, here's the real top 5 issues you should work on. And really dial in your time, your money, your process to, just make it more effective from a human standpoint, where you can't really replace that knowledge yet.
Right.
I believe there's still a place for an occupational ergonomist.
Do you feel like there's more throughput there, more bandwidth, on your side if you interact with this software? Do you think you can get through more individuals?
Absolutely. I could look at a lot more tasks effectively with this software application, I believe.
Yeah, because then you don't necessarily have to have somebody with the same expertise setting it up, right? You can have
Right. There would be some training how to take the camera angle to maximize the accuracy of the software. The softwares are evolving to where even you can have an occluded body part and they can still estimate the body posture. So there's a lot of that good machine learning happening and making it more effective for real life situations. So absolutely, I believe that it would help me be a more effective ergonomist.
Now, looking at the future, do you think there's ever a state where you just put on their webcam and then you can kind of assess from their perspective, like what they're looking at, if the models get that advanced? Or
like a real time, you mean? So they did talk about what some of the presentations here were about. You could have 24/7, not in order to get someone in trouble for doing the wrong thing, but 24/7 to give them real-time prompts for something like a safe lift, or it's time to take a break, or that sort of thing. Technology-wise, I think we're approaching that. I think privacy-wise, we have to work through a lot of those privacy questions. Industry is protective, I think, of their workers' privacy. But I think it could be a far future idea, is a real-time, and just for you, like Nick, for you, this is the safest lift.
Right.
Teresa, for you, this is the safest lift. We're different.
Right.
And if you could get to that customization, that would be a breakthrough.
That's cool. Where else is the field going, just in general? Like, where's the future?
I think that one thing I want to mention is that we all want to keep people safe. We all want to empower our employees to come to work feeling healthy and leave work feeling healthy. I think in industry, the loudest drumbeat I hear is they have to also be profitable. So if occupational ergonomics starts always tying their improvements toward here's how it can also affect return on investment, things like quality, things like productivity could also improve with this. And of course, there's a cost to injuries, right? So that's part that we already do pretty well. But the tying into quality, the tying into productivity improvements based on these safety improvements, I think is very important, so that the broader industry adopts these improvements and funds them and is happy to do them.
All comes back to that stakeholder management.
It really is. We have customers, right? We have to make them happy.
Yeah. So Teresa, thank you for being on the show. All right, we'll be back with more right after this.
Thanks, Nick.
Hey Nick, this is Frank here from the Exhibition Showcase. We've got Beatrice here talking about the Move 4D and also some of the great things that are going on. Tell us a little bit about your organization.
Hello, yes, well, we belong to IBB, the Institute of Biomechanics in Valencia, Spain. And we do a lot of research and transfer technology related to human factors. And we are here because of Move 4D, which is a 4D scanner. Mm-hmm. So what do I mean with 4D scanner? It's a 3D body scanner in motion, okay? So we capture with this type of device, with this sensor, we get a point cloud, and then with the software, we convert it into a mesh of 50,000 vertex, which have point-to-point correspondence. along the sequence, every frame, and across any other subject. And this consistent topology and anatomical correspondency makes us to be able to also to rig the avatar. So it has also the skeleton. And as it has also RGB camera, you can get the texture as well.
Oh, that's great.
So
Let's take a look here.
here, there are some examples. So with this type of device, you can use it in ergonomics, in product design, in I mean, you've got the avatar, you've got the person, so you can extract automatically also measurements. We have dynamic measurements, so you can see how they vary along the movement, but also can be used, as we have the movement, can be used in biomechanics.
Yeah.
So in biomechanics, it doesn't intend to replace a motion capture system, but it delivers much more information because you've got the surface. So then you can analyze volumes, you can analyze other things that you cannot analyze with a traditional motion capture system.
Oh, that's great.
So in biomechanics can be used normally it is used in sport biomechanics, in clinical biomechanics as well. And what else? In computer graphics and in computer vision for creation of real avatars and animation of real avatars. Because at the end you can export this output and use it in different engines, like for example Blender, Unreal.
And then kind of do
Yeah.
interface with the different softwares
Yes.
that are used to analyze.
You've got different formats. You can export it and then use it in other softwares.
I see that it has watertight. Are you talking about underwater, or what
No,
is watertight?
watertight means there are no holes. In scanning, I mean, those are the optics. You normally have holes and occlusions.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we do the processing, the mesh is watertight. That means that it doesn't have any hole and occlusion.
Oh, yeah, to get kind of the full
Yeah,
picture of
yeah,
things going on
yeah.
there. Okay, that's great. And also, I've kind of noticed the trend for a lot of these technologies. They've gotten a lot smaller, more mobile, for different kinds of scenarios.
Yeah. Well, this technology actually is not a portable one. It is
Yeah.
a lab. Okay?
Yeah, this one is a lab one, but
yeah.
yeah.
This is more for, let's say, as a ground truth to be used.
Okay, right. So you talked a little bit about the watertight. Thank you for sharing that. And it also looks like this one's a lab model, so you would have it in the lab and be able to take. You said what's that? The ground truth?
Yeah. We could consider this type of system as a ground truth because it has sub-millimeter accuracy. But actually, with this type of systems, what you can do is to train low-cost systems as well, taking into account that is the ground truth. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you very much. And for more information, I'd imagine there's like a website where you can go find find that.
Move4D.
Move4D.
Net.
Net. Okay.
Yeah, and we are IBV, Institute of Biomechanics in Valencia, Spain. And my name is Beatrice. I'm on LinkedIn. So.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So we got Move4D. Over to you, Nick.
All right, and we're continuing our coverage from this year's HFES Aspire Conference. I'm sitting here with Eve Vasquez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome, Eve. So what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about inflection as a potentially useful form of anthropomorphism to increase trust in decision aids.
Okay, lots of words there.
Okay.
Let's break them down.
All right.
So let's start with inflection. How do you define inflection for those who might not be familiar with the concept?
So inflection I would define as the means of kind of tonality in speech to indicate something. So an upward or downward inflection, a more questioning or declarative inflection, that's kind of what I would get at with the word
Sure, as we
inflection.
thought, like upspeak or
Yeah,
something like
exactly.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then anthropomorphism, a fun word to say.
Yeah.
How would you define that one, just for folks who are unfamiliar with the concept?
Yeah, so I define anthropomorphism as the attribution of human qualities to technology.
Okay, so combining all those things together in automation,
Yeah.
what's particularly exciting about that approach?
Yeah, so a lot of scenarios where you'd interact with automation or a voice assistant, you'd get suggestions that might not be accurate. So if automation is somewhat unsure of itself, or it's going to give you information that you shouldn't totally trust, like for example, the Apple Watch, if it gives you some like health notifications, they're not as certain as a doctor would be when it gives you that advice. So inflection may be a means for the Apple Watch to kind of temper your trust in the advice that it gives you, or in any other scenario where automation could convey certainty or uncertainty, and that would be useful information for the user. Inflection could kind of be like a background cue of the certainty of the automation.
Right, it almost seems like it's one of those not immediately present qualities about the way that information is delivered that can sort of indicate the confidence through which, that there's a either diagnosis or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is the danger if, some sort of voice comes off as commanding or certain, what is the danger there from like an end user perspective?
Yeah, so it's possible that an inexperienced user may kind of bias their trust directly to the inflection. So if you knew that your automation is only 50% reliable, but you give it a downward inflection in every scenario that it gives advice, you may kind of sway users to trust it when they shouldn't. And that may be especially true of novice users who don't have their own personal knowledge.
Right. Do you tune the models behind the scene to based on the level of certainty? Do you tune the inflection to that certainty?
I think that may be possible, and that's kind of what direction the research is going in, finding out if that would be helpful. I did my study kind of looking at the impact of inflection plainly, and it, as far as I know, is a very new kind of form of anthropomorphism to research. So there's not enough studies to say that necessarily machines should calibrate the inflection or not. But I think that seems like a likely path that it's going to go down.
Sure. So what did you find? Did you find that certain upwards speaking is more like not as confident, and downward speaking is confident?
Yeah, that's exactly what we found. We asked our participants to rate the confidence of an upward and downward inflection voice, and also to rate the vocal properties of being questioning and declarative. And we found that the upward inflection was rated as less confident and questioning, downward as, more confident and declarative. And within our task, which was a health advice scenarios task, the individuals rated higher trust in the trials where they interacted with the downward inflection aid as opposed to the upward inflection aid, although all the advice they got was 100% reliable. So they were biased directly by the inflection.
In the study, was it like an AI voice? Was it a human voice?
So we actually used human recordings, but it was kind of in the interface was supposed to be an AI voice assistant.
So they thought it wasn't. They were instructed that it was an AI voice that would have came back.
But you also could kind of tell that they were
Right.
human voices, and that was just so that we could, have the experimental control. But there might have been a different effect with like a synthetic voice.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. So I know we kind of talked a little bit about the future, but where else can you see the future going aside from, tuning the AI to inflect up or downwards? What other sort of avenues of research do you think are out there?
In terms of inflection?
Yeah, inflection.
Yeah. I think just more research on vocal tone in voice assistants, maybe going more into preference by the users rather than trust could be interesting things to look at. The impacts on people's long-term adoption of AI that uses voice assistants and whether that can be aided by different tones or inflection options that they can select, I think would be interesting. And yeah, just largely looking at kind of maybe outside of the scope of upward and downward inflection, but more kind of human vocal qualities, how they can be applied to AI to, better benefit human automation teaming.
Right. Timbre, tone,
Yeah.
cadence.
Yeah.
All those.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, very
Probably more involvement with linguists, I'd say, than
Right.
psychologists. Because even with that, I couldn't tell you, is it tone? Is it? I wouldn't know which one to look at
Right.
first. But maybe consulting someone who could.
Well, that's super cool research. Eve, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank
Where
you.
can folks find you if they want to learn more about you, your research, what you're doing?
So I'm part of the LACE lab at NC State University. I work with Dr. Ann McLaughlin, and you can find our website. You can find me on LinkedIn, Eve Vasquez, and I'll be giving a talk later on Thursday.
Excellent. Eve, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll be back with more right after this.
Trial run, that's what
Trial.
HFES testing is all about.
All right. Let's make sure they're connected. That's connected there. We're good. Okay. False start. Thank goodness for editing, right, Frank? All right, and we're back, continuing our coverage here at HFES 2025 Aspire in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Shreya Agarwal. Shreya, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you on the show again for the second time because we had a false start. So what brings you to the show, or what brings you to HFES this year?
Well, this is my fourth year at HFES, and generally I'm presenting something, but this year I'm actually here to network and just kind of absorb the field. I just wanted to learn more about what's out there. I'm getting ready to go out in the industry, so it's just fascinating to see what's happening with the current researchers, what practitioners are interested in, and so on.
I love coming to HFES with just no goal.
I know, this is my first time here without a goal, and it's amazing. It's like my brain is a sponge right now, just absorbing everything.
It's amazing. So you're noticing some trends in what, cognitive modeling?
Yes, yeah. So definitely I've noticed some, like I work in cognitive modeling, that's what my dissertation is in. But what trends I'm noticing is a conversation between, well, is the cognitive modeling have a future, or are we just moving towards AI? And sort of what the in-between there is. I think recently there was a model that came out called Centaur, I believe, that is an AI model that claims to replicate human cognition. But again, that's kind of that in-between between cognitive modeling and AI, but that still has that black box problem of we don't really quite understand how cognition comes to be. So I've been really trying to figure out how cognitive modeling can start complementing AI rather than competing with it.
Right, so are you saying that these AI models that are coming out are, there's sort of a trend in thinking that those might replace some traditional cognitive modeling?
Yes, yeah. I think a lot of people, especially a lot of practitioners that I talk to, think about how, well, AI is cost effective compared to getting users in, compared to user testing. Like we can throw an AI model at it. And what they're forgetting is cognitive modeling is trying to do the same thing. Yes, there is a bit of overhead with users at the start of it, but once you get past that, they're trying to achieve the same goal of simulated users.
Right, so I tend to think of AI models as sort of a generalist approach where the cognitive models are very fine-tuned for, whatever task you're trying to evaluate.
Yeah, definitely. Cognitive models can, you can have different tasks. So something like ACT-R, for example, is a cognitive framework. And as a user, you can you can adapt it to a specific task. Or you can do kind of what I'm doing of building an extension to the visual module for it. And so that's more general. That's a tool now available to everyone in the cognitive modeling community.
Right. So I'm thinking about maybe the widespread access of some of these AI models, right? Your ChatGPTs, your Geminis, your Llamas. And so I'm thinking about what sort of would be the core difference in having, somebody who's maybe not experienced with cognitive modeling go in, make a prompt. What comes back from those AI models versus a cognitive model?
So I think, as you said, ease of access, right? Right there, with prompts, you can go in, you can ask, and It's an easy user interface. You don't have to be a programmer to kind of get that information out. And that's where cognitive modeling is suffering, is you have to have some amount of background knowledge. You have to be familiar with the tools to really work with them. And I think that's where AI is kind of taking the advantage, where you can have these GPTs and it's really just prompt engineering. You don't have to be an engineer.
Do you think in the future there might be a way to combine the two, where maybe you have an AI model that you prompt and then it links into a cognitive model?
Oh, absolutely. Like one of the things that I've been noticing with AI, and especially like a lot of the AI out there, is API calls to like 3 models out there, right? That's something you can do with cognitive modeling as well. Like you can have there's a lot of efforts right now of making it publicly available, adding in that API format to it. So I think if that can be achieved, you can leverage those APIs within the AI models. And so say you have, I'm just going to plug my research here, a visual grouping algorithm in a cognitive model that's been validated, tested with users, you know it works, we understand the inner workings of the mind. Cool, you don't need to use a cognitive model, you can use the API for it in your AI, and then just have a prompt engineer for it.
Right. And so aside from sort of that integration in the future, where else do you see the future going?
In terms of cognitive modeling?
Cognitive modeling or AI or both?
Right now, I think I see the future currently trending towards more of AI, which kind of makes sense. It's a hot new thing in the world, and it's easy to use, easy access. But I do think there's also a conversation, right? Like I mentioned, Centaur coming out with this human cognitive model. I think people do care about it. I think currently we need to have a lot more conversations, but I do see the future trying to get at is eventually AI is going to get to a point where it works, but that black box still exists.
Right.
I think that's unpacking the black box is going to be the future, but we're not quite there yet.
Right. I'm wondering, like, is there a point? A lot of us in the field get hung up on what do we call the certain things and how do we distinguish between those things. And I think in industry, they don't really care as long as they get results. And so I'm wondering if there's a point in the future where we just call it like AI cognitive workflows or something, just to get across that gap and like get the buzzword and get cognitive workflows in as the exciting thing for companies.
No, definitely, right? And I think, as you mentioned terms, I think something that the field is definitely struggling with, and I've had conversations with practitioners here, is there's not a lot of standardization in the terms we use across HF. Like I think a lot of labs interpret it differently. We're all trying to get at the same ideas, but the words aren't standardized. And that's something industry has. Like you mentioned, AI cognitive workflows. I can see that being in a job description somewhere.
Right.
So I do think that we do kind of catch up with the industry to kind of make sure that we are still relevant. We do need to standardize a bit across the field. Like, for example, cognitive modeling can also be MATLAB, it can be Actor, and I think there's a few more that I'm not entirely familiar with either. So I think a lot of it is going to be, the field has to work together to kind of be like, hey, we're still relevant and we can work with AI. So part of it would be even cognitive modelers have to use AI in their work, right? It can't just be like, we want you to use our work. We also kind of have to use theirs.
Right. Shreya, thank you for being on the show. Where can folks find you if they want to find out more about you, your research?
So LinkedIn would be the best way to do it. I think you can maybe find me on the RISE website, but I think LinkedIn would be the best way.
LinkedIn's the best place. All right, Shreya, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll be back with more right after this. Technology in our world is evolving at a phenomenal pace, and keeping up with what that means in the human factors world can be challenging. That's where Human Factors Cast comes in. Human Factors Cast is a weekly podcast that highlights and breaks down stories that are chosen by you, the Human Factors community. Each week, a panel made up of human factors practitioners, UX specialists, and engineers sit down to discuss a weekly dose of knowledge that keeps you up to date with the latest areas of interest.
New York State is giving out hundreds of robots as companions for the elderly.
Buttons in cars are safer and quicker to use than touchscreen.
A prototype just achieved a major milestone that actually fits the description of a flying car.
The show provides perspective based on experiences from different domains and different industries. We even cover some of the hottest conferences in the field. On this episode, we're recapping EHF, Ergonomics and Human Factors Conference, Neuroergonomics Conference, Human Factors and Ergonomics Society, UXPA International, the International Symposium on Human Factors and Ergonomics in Healthcare, and we have the best guests. I'm joined today by Chris Reed, Micah Inslee, Farzan Sassin Gohar, Joe Keebler, Peter and Gabby Hancock. We have a dedicated community of listeners that engage with the show and contribute to the topics discussed. Join me, Nick Roome.
And me, Barry Kirby.
Every Friday morning when Human Factors Cast drops on YouTube and your favorite podcast directory. And remember,
it depends.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our weekly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and Human Factors Minute, a Patreon-only weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember, it depends.
back, continuing our coverage from this year's HFES Aspire in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Camille Paris. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled that you're here.
I am thrilled that you are here. So what I'm going to ask a question. What brings you to this year's conference?
Well, thank goodness an airplane.
Right. Okay.
I mean, honestly, that was sort of stressful. This has been the conference that just one thing after another, after another, after another. But here we all are.
We're here.
And
we made it.
It's so exciting to see so many people. But obviously, I'm the current president, outgoing president, all of that kind of good stuff. And so this has been a conference I've been working on with Sylvain Bruni over the last year. And of course, he's the conference chair. And he and I have been sharing ideas and things like that. And he's given me the opportunity to try out a few things and experiment with some things that I thought might be fun or might be things to try to enhance the conference. And so that's the reason I'm here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one of the things I know that you tried out recently was the telethon.
Yeah.
Telethon event for membership drive. How did that go?
I think it went, well, there's two sides of it. I think the event itself was, the word I use is breathtaking, because it just was so special and spectacular to hear these greats of human factors and ergonomics, and not just that we were listening to them present their ideas, but I think it was more hearing them talk about their own career development and then chatting with each other. And this, when somebody was talking about, oh, I remember when you were mentoring me and when I was coming up, and I don't remember exactly who that was between, but it was just this seeing the relationships that get built between these folks and how much that carries people through their careers.
Right.
And we say that a lot. And so people will give talks and say, oh, well, when I started at HFES, then so-and-so mentored me. But watching it play out on the screen was just, there's no way you could have scripted that. And so that for me was just unbelievably special and much more than I could have imagined. Yeah. The other thing that I was really stunned about was, so Gary Klein, as you know, started it, and he was talking about these moments of insight as part of his questions and his research. And so then at the last person that we had was talking about, and they weren't even on at the same time,
right,
starts talking about moments of insight. And so we have this bookend piece of it. And so that just kind of tells me that even though they're very different domains, very different ages, very different, parts of the domain and discipline, there's this, sort of commonality, and it was just very, very special. I thought it was spectacular.
I mean, the other thing that was really interesting to me, and this is kind of opening up a little bit of how the sausage is made, so I hope that's okay, but these invites were sent out sort of independently of each other, and there was no like, hey, focus on this theme. It was like, just give a talk about whatever you're comfortable talking about. And so to see not only those bookends, but also there were themes throughout the whole telethon that sort of rhymed with each other. A lot of people were talking about AI and sort of the relationship between human factors and humans and AI, and having those bookends across the whole thing. And then you're right, there was the talks, but then there was the experiences with HFES. I just thought the whole thing was really, really awesome. And I want to do it again. Can I come back and do it again?
Exactly. And so one of the things that I'm wanting to do is slice it and dice it, so that, because it is, we were on there for a while, but into more bite-sized pieces, so people can go on and just look at 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or something like that, because they gave short talks.
Right.
And I thought that was a nice piece of it too, is it wasn't this long webinar. Those are wonderful, and I love those as well. But there's something about, these folks giving, give us a summary of what really matters to you in 10 minutes. And and so that was, it was just really interesting. It went off way better than I ever could have imagined. Yeah.
What about other experimental things for this year's conference? Anything else you want to to
Yeah,
talk
a
about?
couple of things that have just been really out of the park successes. The disaster ergonomics, I think they're calling it a initiative, and that one sort of hits close to home because at the very beginning, well, of course, it would be around summertime because it was in response to the fires in California, and there was a hurricane, and the whole phrase that we always think and feel and hear now is so sick of thoughts and prayers. We've got to be able to do more. And because I'd done research in disaster response, I knew that we have science and application associated with that, but that it's happening in all these pockets.
Right.
And that when you're doing stuff in pockets like that, it's not going to be, we're not going to be able to, have a real system that's going to have as much influence. And so I put out a bit of a call and said, what do y'all think? We've got to do more than this. And people responded. And so now on Monday, the group got together. I think it was their second or third time getting together. And so they've got a mission, and they're going to be moving forward. And so there are more steps that need to be taken. And there's some things that,
And we're back continuing our coverage from this year's HFES Aspire Conference in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Carolyn Ko, incoming HFES president, soon to be HFES president.
Yes, very soon. I think officially it is tomorrow. No. Officially it's tonight.
Tonight, we're recording on Wednesday. This will go live on Thursday. So by the time you're seeing this,
yesterday. Exactly.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. I missed you last year, but
yeah.
Glad to have you here this year.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for inviting me.
So I figured what we could talk about is what's new with HFES. You're new as incoming, soon-to-be president to yesterday. Today.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for HFES over this next year?
Well, lots of plans. The most important is to make sure that we have a strategic plan. So if you've already talked to Camille, our outgoing president, you know that she's formulated and she's got these strategic goals for HFES. So we need a strategic plan in order to realize her goals. So we have in place a strategic plan, most of which is going to build on all the initiatives that she's been working on. For example, membership drive. As well as making sure that we include UX and AI in everything that we do, and making sure that our society is more visible as we go forward. This is something that we always want to be able to do, and I can tell you that I've been a member of HFES for 27 years, starting as a student member all the way to now president of the society, and I want to be able to reflect and say that, we've seen HFES progress over the years. We've always had this problem of not being able to explain to people in a few words what human factors is. But I think now we are at a point where we don't have to go into detail about what human factors is. People understand, people know, because they see the implications, they see the applications of human factors, and they see it almost everywhere around them in the world. So I'm very happy about that.
I am too, and I think a lot of that comes probably from passion. We're so passionate about what we do that we just want to talk about every little detail and explain it. So okay, so new initiatives. What can we expect in terms of? You mentioned some of the ongoing initiatives. Anything new that we can talk about?
Well, it's in the works.
In the works.
So maybe
in
what I can do is I can come back in a few months.
Or in a few months. Okay, there we go. All right.
For you in a few months.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll look forward to that in a few months. So I guess how's the conference going for you? Busy?
Oh, busy. And this is the biggest conference we've had. We've had more submissions for the conference than ever before. We've exceeded over 1,000 submissions. We have more than 1,200 registration. This is the biggest conference we have, and we have new initiatives. We have new programming. So I think that's why we have a lot more submissions and registrations. You may know that we have the UX mini conference, the mini track.
How's that going?
It's going really well. This is something that we have been doing, not officially for
like the UX Day, right?
Yeah, we had UX Day, but we've never had a UX mini conference. And this year we have a UX mini conference. It's free for registrants to aspire. We also have a AI, what do we call it? AI symposium. AI symposium that is tagged on at the end of the conference. And that is very exciting because, as you know, there is...
Big themes.
Well, AI and everything, AI and everything. And we have already been very engaged in AI in transportation, AI in automation, AI in all different sectors and domains in the work that our members do. So having a dedicated AI symposium, I think is really important.
And then also ErgoX.
ErgoX, yeah, that has been
ongoing
for many years, and that's a mainstay.
It's just an exciting time. There's so much stuff. Can I ask you, is there any information about is the UX mini conference pulling folks who may not be traditionally human factors backgrounds into the human factors scene?
You know, some people will tell you that UX came out of human factors. And it's very common when a certain discipline or practice become very popular and gain momentum. They can establish their own track or their own conference, and we have seen that with UX. And this is something that we would like to do. We want to make sure that there is continuity, there's a connection between human factors and UX. So it's not necessarily polling. Well, maybe it is polling people who enter the field of UX, not through human factors.
That's what I'm curious about, right? Can we attract more folks under the human factors umbrella?
Yes.
Like designers who might figure out the UX pathway through design, and then, oh, hey, there's more to this. Look at
that's exactly it. Yeah. In fact, this is something that we're trying to do. We're trying to do to open up the field for UX practitioners who want to explore and expand their portfolio so that they can understand, where the principles for design come from.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big tent. We have room for everybody.
That's right. That's why it's called human factors and ergonomics. We have 28 technical groups.
Right.
So that tells you how diverse we are, how interdisciplinary we are. So we have room for everybody.
Excellent. Any notes about what to expect for the future?
What to expect for the future? Well, I have a vision. Actually, it's not my vision. It's a vision that people are already talking about, and more as we're dealing with AI, as we're dealing with the digital transformation of work, the future of work. Very recently, we have just traversed Industry 4.0, where people are talking about automation, smart factories, smart environments for home, for work, for play. But the mistake I think people with Industry 4.0 is that the human was removed from that system, from that digital transformation, and so we saw a big failure. So now we're talking about Industry 5.0. Industry 5.0 is about putting the human back in the center of that system. So if you look beyond that, you can imagine something that we call Society 5.0. Society 5.0 is where humans and technology are integrated and coexist symbiotically, so that we have technology supporting humans so that we can have happier, safer society. So Society 5.0, I think, is where we're headed. And that's something that's very exciting to me.
It's exciting for me too. I'm looking forward to the upgrade.
Yep, look forward to that.
Well, where can folks find you if they want to connect with you or learn more about HFES or?
They can find me through the HFES website, hfes.org. They can also find me on LinkedIn, Carolyn Kao. It's easy to find, I hope. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for being on the show. Always a pleasure, and hopefully much more in the future.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Thank
All
you.
right. We'll be back for more right after this. Stay tuned. All right, and we're back. I'm sitting here with Philippe Doyon. Bill, welcome back, man. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be able to talk with you.
What brings you to this year's conference?
Oh, well, this year, so I'm on the aerospace TG, and I'm program chair, and I wanted to be able to have the chance to see the latest research published. So, yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to make the travel to Chicago.
Yeah. You guys over there at the Aerospace TG had so much swag out on your table at opening night, man.
Right. So, yeah, this year, so we have a new logo. We made a logo this year, and so it was the opportunity to have promo materials. So we're able to have
promo materials.
Yeah, exclusive edition.
It's swag.
Limited edition swag. So, yeah, it was very helpful. People loved it. So
very cool, very cool. So what's going on with the technical groups?
Right. Well, I think a big initiative that happened in the society in the last year or so, for 2 years now, is what they call the Circle of Excellence. And so it's an initiative that is done at the society level, where they try to motivate the different technical group or affinity group to be able to give back to their members and be able to show that they're active. I'm sure it's a problem that most scientific societies are facing, is that as a member, you pay your fees, and the end of the year arrives and nothing happened. And so really we want to be able to fight that lack of activity engagement from our members. And so this is where the Circle of Excellence comes in. So it tries to motivate the different TGs to organize activities to be able to make their community active and run. And so they have different levels. So they have a bronze, silver, and gold level that they can have, but they also have a guidance in terms of what you should do to be able to give back to your members, to be able to reach those different levels.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of like some of the things that are suggested to do to reach the different levels, or?
Yeah, right. So it was thought out of the bronze level is just the basic requirement that you need to be able to be a member of the society, of the TG. So, have elected officials and have a business meeting organized sometime. So people that do the reporting should be able to meet that. That's okay. Then the silver level actually asks you to be to have specific activities. So you need to become what they call TG of the month.
Okay.
So HFES member would have seen this. So whenever you receive the bulletin, so that's a member newsletter that the society sends. From time to time, you will see a TG of the month. Occupational ergonomics was, training, aerospace was, perception was, in which they highlight a TG with the activities that it does. Mm-hmm. And the TG also has to host a webinar during that month and post different material on their group activity. So it gives visibility to the TG, to the entire society. So that's a big plus.
Gets you a little bit more involved, gets you some visibility with the society. So, and then what about the gold level?
So the gold level is where the gamification aspects comes in. So they have a series of different items that would give points that you need to reach to be able to achieve the gold level. So some activities are low point or high point depending on the type of things. But example of this is the time that they will give points for anything that you post on social media, for being active on social media, to write material in the what they call the HFES Connect. So that's the user forum.
Right.
So the Connect. So if you write material in the Connect forum, you will also have highlight any webinar that you organize within TG, any interview that you would do with podcasting or the media. That also gives one. So really, this is if you want to reach goal level, this is where you really have to be active as a group, as a TG, and give back to your members. So if I take, for example, the aerospace TG in which I'm involved, in 24 last year, like we did not even met Browns. Like we did
Right.
not do any of the reporting that was required to do that. But we really took that time as an opportunity to plan for next year. So for 25, which is this year. And this year we were very active. So we started publishing monthly newsletter for our members, in which we just survey recent scientific publication in aerospace. We try to summarize them and what happened in the news in aviation. So air traffic management, autonomy, electric vehicles. And then we had a handful of webinars, and we're also very active on LinkedIn. And yeah, and I guess I was able to talk with some of our members.
Yeah. And now you're podcasting too, so there you go.
Podcasting. I'll get the point.
Get the points.
But yeah, that's the gamification aspect of it. But yeah, and I was talking with members this week that I was able to meet, and they all came and say, you know, it's so great to see that aerospace system is active. You know, that we see you always have this material, and you give relevant material to us. So being able to highlight the news and highlight the research article, they said, because we would not do it. And so you can do it for us, and that's very helpful. And I actually feel very grateful of being able to do that with the team. Yeah,
that makes the cost of admission to the technical group like worth it right there.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you have access to all that stuff, and
I guess so. You know, we need to be more outward facing. What I mean by that is, if I think we have about aerospace, we have about 400 members at the time. If I think about the sizable market, you know, I know human factor specialists in aviation, we're way more than
400.
Okay. So the sizable market is definitely larger than that. And so this is all the effort that we did to be more outward facing with the material, the website, the LinkedIn account, where we try to reach out to other people, to be able to show interest, to show that we give value, and then be able to invite them to become members. And it's actually working well. So as I mentioned, just before the conference, I was looking at the number. We just crossed 410 members, so 410, which is a strong number by this time of the year. And I'm also a bit excited because it's the first time that we have more members than CDM.
Oh.
So we're always close competition one another.
There you go.
Very similar, but yeah, we're able
turn up the competition.
We're able to get a few more there. So
what's the future look like? I mean, is there going to be more gamification of the?
Right. So we had a meeting on Monday with a council of TG, so the COTG, where all the chair and vice chair of the different TGs meet to be able to talk about that, and that was highlighted. So when the Circle of Excellence started, they came up with a list of items to give points to. And now I guess some TGs said, well, we could revisit that list to to prevent the gamification aspect. So only to do action that would actually give you points. Sure. And maybe also recognize that other TG can do other stuff. For instance, mentorship with students.
Right.
Some TGs are very active with mentoring and one-to-one training and one-to-one mentoring to be able to bring them to a greater leadership position. Well, that's of high value, and I think they should also be reflected. So definitely the council wants to be able to update that list, to be able to reflect the effort of everyone. And the objective there is not, to check, to get your checkbox and then move on. It's just to make sure that the society is active.
It's active, it's giving back. Yeah.
And that members know that we do stuff. Because people in the leadership team will tell you, the society is very active.
Right.
But then maybe that's not visible from members.
Right.
Who are not involved in those weekly meetings and email discussions. So this is where we need to be able to give visibility back to members so that they can also relate to that and see value out of it. So
yeah, excellent. Where can folks find out more about the technical groups, or connect with you, or learn more about you and your research?
Right. Well, for aerospace systems, so I guess we're pretty active on LinkedIn. So ASTG on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find us. And as for the different TGs, so it's on the HFES website. So we are about 26 TGs.
A lot of them.
A
lot of them.
A lot of them. Yeah, and I think that'll be a good way to connect.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Phil. As always, a pleasure.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this. Stay tuned.
All right. Hey, Nick. This is Frank here. So we're over here at the HFES job fair. And so we've got Katie for Aptima. Tell us a little bit about Aptima itself and some of the opportunities you have for folks.
Absolutely. So Aptima is primarily a Department of Defense contractor. So we focus heavily in training for the military. So we work with customers like Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, NASA, and we develop everything from training simulations to wearable sensors to kind of track biometric and physiological data. We also, one thing I think that is really unique about us compared to a lot of other companies is we also do the actual assessment and evaluation of that training.
Yeah.
So we are able to work with our customers kind of all the way through, provide feedback, iterate on processes, and help them improve. So we've been around for 30 years, heavily focused in kind of R&D services, and also looking towards like tech-enabled services as well at this point.
Oh, that's kind of great. What are the specific positions that you're looking for?
So I'll talk about like two different things. So as we look forward to 2026, we're going to be looking definitely for AI engineers. Yes, folks with kind of some larger programmatic experience. As we look to kind of go after that type of business. And then we also have our internship program, which I'm super excited about. We recently revamped it. So this is our second year with like a really programmatic approach to it, creating that like cohort experience versus just kind of having interns in like one-off. Aptima has always had an amazing intern experience, but now we've created this exactly.
The restructuring.
So I keep pointing to this because this has kind of just more information about it, but we've created a real infrastructure around it with a lot of development. So while interns are still spending about 90% of their time direct on projects interfacing with customers, we're also providing a lot of these development opportunities like mentorship programs for them to just enhance that experience.
Yeah, so it's a great way to start working applied or some of the applied research that you have going on, but also have a nice path for them.
Yep.
And also kind of develop their technical skills, but also learn more about the company.
Yeah, learn more about the industry, the company experiences in Aptima, outside of Aptima, how our Aptimists, as we call ourselves, how people got where they are today. So yeah, I've gotten really great feedback so far in the program, so excited to see what happens this summer.
Yeah, well, that's great news, and it's very good place here at the job fair to get some talk to some companies and learn about the industry. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Of course.
To chat today.
No problem.
Thank you. Over to you, Nick.
And we're back continuing our coverage from HFES Aspire 2025 in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Esha Mahindran. Esha, welcome to the show.
Hi, Nick. It's amazing to be here at Chicago, and I'm very excited.
We're very excited to have you, and you are here to talk about something that's I think is pretty cool. So you're noticing a trend in human factors in media fiction?
Yes.
What is it?
Something that we all love to engage in after work, after school. Media, whether it's video games or whether it's your favorite Netflix show like Black Mirror. We all know about that, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the scariest episode you ever saw?
Scary, like...
You're afraid that that's going to happen for sure.
Ooh, I'd have to think on that one. I think, without getting too philosophical, a lot of people really like San Junipero, but that one frightens me for other reasons.
That's actually the most positive episode. I'm surprised.
It is the most positive episode, but I can't stop thinking about the ship of Theseus and how our cognizance would not actually be us in a digital world unless it was taken piece by piece and ultimately replaced. Anyway, that's why it's the scariest thing to me, and it's a controversial answer, but there you go.
Okay, mine would be in line with most people. I'm scared about the recent episode in the recent season where the main character loses. I was gonna say loses access to her brain as if it's a commodity. That's scary, but no. Actually, she has brain damage, and this company offers a way for her to access her brain on a subscription service.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was scary. And that feels very realistic because you keep signing up for things and it's all subscriptions. So, yeah, and then if she doesn't pay the full subscription price, she plays all the ads in person. That was very scary. So, of course, I feel like there's a theme in any dystopian media that's always scary, unlike San Junipero. I would beg to differ. I think it's very sweet.
I think it's positive.
It's the only Black Mirror episode where I was like, oh, I'm so scared about what's gonna happen in this world, and I felt San Junipero was like, oh, it could be nice, it could be sweet.
It was. Okay, so to continue this interview, go ahead and subscribe right down below. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Talking about subscription services.
Yeah, for a second I was like, oh, the future just happened right here.
You saw it here first in Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, so the theme is sort of the literature that we're all consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's not so great.
Yes.
Are there positive aspects to it?
100%. And I'm very passionate about that because I think we are really good at shit talking. We're really good at being pessimistic. And there is a certain comfort to that, but I think there should be more empowering perspectives on how technology can be positive. And I guess that's also what we all want to be as engineers, right? We want to make a positive impact. And I think media should focus on more of those positive perspectives, and there are many. For example, yes, San Junipero, but then there is also the episode for Entire History of You.
Okay.
Now,
yeah.
I know that episode is also kind of scary that you find out your partner is cheating on you because you somehow did see it, but you didn't see it. And then your system tells you it happened, but yeah. But I think it's also cool, right? You could rest on an evening and be like, oh, I really miss this person. And you could go back to your brain and search for it like an actual photo gallery. Unlike, actually having to use your imagination. You can see that in HD detail. Because I know some people are not very strong with their visualization capabilities. And I think there are positive aspects to that too. But we never got a positive episode for that. We saw what could go really bad. And I think Black Mirror is exceptionally good at doing that. But there are positive media out there. For example, the Destroy Become Human video game. Now, that game has over 64 endings, positive and negative endings. And one of the positive endings, we have a main character who is a caregiver for a disabled older adult. And he is actually a social AI robot who is totally capable of, as a human caregiver, maybe not on the emotional intelligence aspect, but everything else, taking care of a older adult, making sure his needs are met. And that is the kind of future that I would like to envision for people with all the technology that we have around us, that you can actually supplement the workforce for caregivers, which is a very difficult job to do. So I think fiction should inspire those things in us. Fiction should motivate those things in us,
Yeah, I wonder, because you do see a lot of those negative episodes. Another one from Black Mirror that comes to my mind is the one where the woman starts watching the Netflix show that's about her.
That was scary.
And I think the interesting thing to me about that one was sort of the ability to have content on demand based on current events or based on things that you're interested in. And one of the things that I'm thinking about in the future, maybe a AI application. I know there's a lot of contention around AI right now. But one of the things that I see is both a positive and negative thing, and maybe you can weigh in on this, is maybe someday we'll have the capability to make our own stories and see what we're in the mood for in that moment. So for example, if I want to watch a Star Wars movie that has these elements in it and these characters, maybe I can have that just pop up in my feed and have it there. And maybe have it tuned into some of my stuff. But like, what are your thoughts on sort of the way that content is going from an AI perspective?
I think it already exists. I think it's called VO. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so there's VO,
Yeah,
and then there's also
VO.
Sora that just came
Sora
out too.
as well, and it's I'm not sure when, but there was a time when it was one of the one of the weird AI cat videos was like the most watched YouTube shorts, and like it was just randomly just generated, and it's very silly, but it's also it makes you think like you know, the people who actually put effort into like making videos, they start losing like their perceived value. I'm not saying that they're losing their value, but they lose their perceived value. Like, why are they putting in so many hours of work when someone who made like a 5-minute video just got the amount of views that they wanted, you know? Definitely there are concerns about that, but I also think it's, again, I'm a very hopeless optimist here. I think that it's very good that we have those capabilities. For example, maybe there are so many shows where people are just not happy with the ending, and you could just use AI to make the ending that you wanted.
See, to me, when I think about that, I'm of two minds, because I think about, well, yes, this is the ending that I wanted, but then what happens to culture? What happens to like our ability to connect with another human based on something that we both collectively saw versus something that's, you know, generated specifically to me? So that's my dual dual mind about it. Like, you know, it's like I lose the ability to talk about that thing with somebody else unless they saw that exact same thing that I saw.
True.
But it was tailored to me, so I don't.
And also, I think there's a aspect of like the human aspect here. Like maybe people have varying levels of media literacy. So there's a high chance where people are like, yeah, that was the ending, but I don't agree with it. I just made my own, and I think that should be the ending, instead of having like a discussion and being like, well, I saw this, but I like this, you know. There's a difference, and I think connection can still be possible, but I don't think we're at that point where we have like enough AI literacy as well, in the sense that we're not really, we're just experimenting at this point, really. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not so complicated either. It might become more like the conversations we have about like story-based video games that like you mentioned, Detroit Become Human has 64 endings.
Yeah, like multiple endings.
And
like,
so it's like, you know, when you talk about that game with somebody else, it's like, well, I didn't experience that on my playthrough.
Oh, yes.
Right?
That happens a lot with me and my friends, because somehow I managed to get all the worst ones at first,
Right?
at first try. And then it's apparently because I made all the extremely careful decisions, you know. And I think there's a beauty in that, because we get to see each other's individuality.
Right.
Because I realized the reason why I was getting those endings was my main priority is, in one of the stories, you need to protect the child. And I was very much into protecting the child, and I didn't care about any of the other side quests. So of course I got the bad ending.
Right.
And then I talked to my other friends, and they're like, no, you need to care about public opinion. You need to be brave and do this, and you need to do that. And I was like, I didn't do any of those except protect the child.
Stakeholder management.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should put that on my resume.
Yes, exactly. Stakeholder management.
Yeah.
See, Detroit Become Human playthrough number whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I'm all about like translating any kind of experience into these skills. It's always useful. People don't realize it. Like even managing a D&D campaign, for that matter.
Oh,
like
yeah,
we
there
were
you
talking
go.
about earlier.
Yes.
Exceptional time management skills.
Yes, time management, resource management. As a DM too, like you know, player manmanagement and
keeping track of everyone's roles. It's just like being at the workplace, for real. And I think that's the thing. Like there's a lot of power in that. You don't get these skills and perspectives just from, you know, journals or publications. Sometimes you just get it from media. Sometimes you just get it with being with people. And I wish like a lot more people understood that, you know, not everything. I know people talk about only working hard, but sometimes playing hard also helps you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Esha, where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you, your research, or have a chat with you about their playthrough of Detroit Become Human?
Oh, I am very down for that chat, but I'm also always down for any chats regarding human factors. And you can find me on my LinkedIn, Where do I show that?
Oh, here, let's just see if the camera can pick that up. There you go. That's Esha's LinkedIn. All right.
I have it on my phone like that, but you can find me on https. Well, if you search me up on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn URL with Esha Worst at the end, or you could email me on esha@vt.edu.
Excellent. Esha, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back. We're continuing our coverage here from HFES Aspire 2025 here in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Rydia Weiland. Weiland?
Yes,
Rydia
German.
Weiland.
Yes.
Rydia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
What are you doing here at HFES? Can I ask you that?
Doing my best every day, Nick. So I'm here as a student. So I'm traveling from Virginia, from George Mason University, where I'm a PhD student, and I'm here to make connections and make new friends, which I think I've been successful at.
I think so too. Just a hunch. So you're noticing some new things with research, maybe?
Yes, I am. Maybe perchance I have been noticing. Yes. So specifically new things with research. I'll talk about my own research, which has to do with anthropomorphic robots. Yay!
Hooray.
So yes, at George Mason University, I am part of a lab, the HACC lab, Human Agent Collaboration Lab, and we study a lot of things, including human-robot interaction and AI. My research specifically is on anthropomorphic robots and how interacting with anthropomorphic robots affects our perceptions of trust and transparency. Specifically with the IKEA effect, which if you don't mind, I can explain now.
So yeah, what is the IKEA effect?
What is the IKEA effect?
Let's talk through that.
So if you've been to IKEA, you know that everything comes disassembled, right? Like you want to build a chair or a table, there's a 50-page long Swedish manual, and you got to put it together. But by the end of it, you feel very accomplished, and you say there's like a sense of, appreciation and like, I love this thing that I built. You are happy with your object. And
pride and accomplishment?
Yes, pride and accomplishment. And I'm trying to look at if we can kind of apply this effect to building your own robot. So if you engage with a robot and you are interacting with it, perhaps you like it, perhaps, it's impressed you with its performance abilities or whatever it's helped you with. But if you have a hand in building that robot, does it improve your trust in that robot? Does it improve your interaction? So
interesting.
Yeah.
So I build this thing.
Yes.
Do I have more confidence in its ability to do the thing, knowing how it's put together?
Right.
Is that it in a nutshell?
Yeah, exactly. Or specifically what I look at is, do you trust that thing more? Do you think that thing is more transparent about what it's doing because you had a hand in building it? Do you understand kind of how it's carrying out its job more clearly?
Sure. Are you limiting that to robots or systems or?
So specifically, I work with industrial robots, but you could also apply it to other types of things. But I'm looking at more of framing anthropomorphism. Okay. So there's differences. So there's physical anthropomorphism, which would be, can I use the icebreaker example again?
Sure, please do.
Okay. If I tell you this, just imagine this is a robot, okay? If we were to apply googly eyes to this robot and add little arms and legs, that would be an example of adding physical anthropomorphism. But if I were to just tell you, this is Daniel. He likes to play soccer. His favorite color is blue. That is an example of linguistic framing and linguistic anthropomorphism. So that is framing and not adding physical features. So I work with industrial robots. If you can imagine just like a crane, anything working kind of like on construction, there's not a whole lot of physical capabilities of it. Like it might just have like the arm as the one like anthropomorphic feature that it has, but it might not have eyes or like a body that looks kind of human-like. So I'm looking at how I can tell stories about that robot and kind of frame it anthropomorphically. And then in the future, building your own robot and adding little pieces to it, like a cape or a hat, or like you said, googly eyes. We don't even know. Sky's the limit. Like whatever, decorate your own best friend, right? And seeing how that affects trust and transparency. So yeah.
You know what didn't even occur to me as we were having like our pre-interview is that I have a pool robot at home.
A pool robot?
And I've named it, yes.
What's its name?
BB-A2B.
Oh, my BB-A2B. And do you feel an attachment to BB-A2B? This is for me now.
Do I feel an attachment to that pool robot? I talk about it as a thing. Like, I don't know. I've kind of characterized it as its own thing a little bit.
Interesting. So that's so interesting. So PPATB, do you refer to it as it or with pronouns?
Sometimes he, him.
That's interesting. That's would be you linguistically framing your robot
Maybe a
and
little bit,
naming your robot. So that is exactly what I study is the phenomenon of people naming their own robots and telling their own stories with it and how that affects, different interactions in human robot trust.
It helps me feel like I'm living in a Star Wars universe when I give it the fancy lettering and and what's interesting. Okay, so here, if you want some more anecdotal data for whatever data set, I trust it to do the bottom of the pool, but not so much the sides. Yeah.
Is it better at the bottom? I assume,
It's better
then?
at the bottom.
Okay.
And better. It's okay at the sides and doesn't do great at the surface at all.
Interesting. Do you think I'm like I'm interviewing you now?
Please, ask more.
Like this is for me now. But I'm wondering. So, do you think that if you hadn't named it and you don't have this like slight attachment to it, you would trust even less? Or do you think that has affected it at all? Do you feel like you forgive the robot a little bit more for not being able to do the sides as well?
You're trying your best, buddy. I don't know. I don't know. Do I think this is fascinating? I don't know.
It's kind of a leading question because
No, I know. I'm just trying to think here. Would I feel? I would say, I don't know if the phrase might change. He's trying his best. It's trying its best. But I understand that it's working with what we have, right? So
right. So you wouldn't
I don't know.
necessarily get upset at it because you're saying things like it's trying its best and like it's doing the best that it can, but that might not even be true actually. It might be like, can I swear? It might.
Go for it.
It might be quite shit at its job. And it's possible for other robots to be quite shit at their job, but just by nature of you framing it as like human-like a little bit, you might be like, oh, whatever. Like you're doing your best, little buddy. I know, like I have a Roomba at home, and it's like, it's job, but
Did you
it's
name your
trying.
Roomba?
Well, yes. Well, yes. Carol.
Carol.
Yes, but yes. So Carol's always doing her best. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But sometimes she really isn't. Okay, this is the conversation of all time.
I'm really enjoying this interview.
Okay, I'm glad.
Hi, we'll get to you in just a minute.
Hello.
Let me ask you, where do you think maybe the future of this anthropomorphic assignment to robots is going in the future? Like, do you think we live in a society 10, 20 years down the line where we have names to all of our robots?
I think, robots are already entering the social sphere in a lot of different ways. You can buy a robot for your home. Like, obviously, Roomba is a classic example. There's the I Like Home robots. Look those up. They're super cute. EILIK. They're adorable. There's a whole bunch of different ways that we can use robots in our day-to-day life. And I think, like, it is going to be more common to interact with them as if they are human, if the task that they're doing is inherently human-like. So right now, the task that the Roomba does, for example, is more of like a task that you don't want to do. It's something that you get out of the way. But something that I'm seeing more is like the possibility of having like learning robots that like may directly engage with you, and they might have like a human-like voice and almost act as if they are a teacher to you. And I'm kind of wondering and excited about, maybe slightly scared, of those robots being perceived as quite human-like because they're doing a human's job in that sort of way.
I'm sorry, I'm going to veer off in like a couple different directions here.
Okay.
One, would you ever allow like a humanoid robot into your home?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay.
I'm a robot fan.
Two, questions about like, what do you think the relationship between humans and robots looks like when robots are delegated towards tasks that humans don't want to perform, right? You send a humanoid robot to go do the dishes, to vacuum. They can actually use the tools that you are doing to do these things that you don't want to do around the house, put away the laundry. What do you think?
Okay.
Like, is it going to be like
this is going to be a niche thing, but if anyone is interested in this topic, Detroit Become Human is like the best game ever for that, exploring that topic specifically, I'm kind of like.
You know what's funny is the second time that's come up on the podcast.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's a fantastic example because in that game, these extremely human-like robots, identical to humans basically, are doing exactly what you're talking about and performing like tasks that humans don't want to do. And the relationship is a little bit adversarial, right? Because we're essentially offloading something onto a robot that has been, like, for lack of a better words, like taught to act, think, and like feel like a human does, at least be able to pass as if they are. So there's like a question of ethics at that point. Like if the robot can pass as a human, you know, Turing test and everything like that, should we begin to treat the robot as if it is? And that game deals with like robot rights and everything like that. Right. I don't think we're quite there yet, especially in terms of capability, because I do not believe that robots can perform to the same degree as humans can. I feel like that's not like a crazy statement at this point in time.
I've washed the dishes.
Yes.
You missed a spot.
Yeah, like, hey, Daniel, bad. I do not trust you. He's doing the best he can, okay?
Damn it, Daniel.
Come on. Okay, but like in the future,
I gotta teach you this lesson,
like,
old man.
So real. But in the future, hypothetically, if we are to integrate robots into our lives in this way, I think we should be very careful and take steps to think about the consequences of our actions.
Very diplomatic of you.
Yes. Vote for me. Robot president.
Okay, Rydia, this has been phenomenal. Where can folks find you if they want to learn more about robots or you or your work?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Rydia Weiland. It's like Lydia with an R. And Weiland, W-E-I-L-A-N-D. I'm also at GMU, yay, at the Hack Lab at gmu.edu. Come visit me and come see robots in our lab. Yeah.
Excellent. Rydia, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back with more right after this. Little intro. All right, I'm sitting here with Eli Fitzpatrick. Welcome back to the show, and welcome to the show, Eli.
Thank you, Nick. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. So why are you here at HFES? What's going on? What's new?
So I am here at the conference on a little trip from Michigan Technological University.
Lots of Michigan Tech
Yes.
representation here.
Yeah. And I am just here. I'm a little new to human factors. My major is applied cognitive science and human factors. I'm a little more on the cognitive science side. So what we talk about today, we'll definitely focus a little more on that because that's what I'm more comfortable with. But I'm still here at the Human Factors Convention because I want to stay curious and I want to try seeing what new things can do for me. So. Huh.
Excellent. I know you had some interesting things on using imagination as sort of a coping tool. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as a broader theme?
Yeah, for sure. So I am really curious about the concept of imagination. Imagination has played a huge part of my life ever since I was very young. Basically, for example, my brother and I started telling stories when we were very young, just in the living room, and then we got a dog, and then we went out on walks, and we would continue to tell stories, and we turned it into a little bit of a science, and we never really grew out of telling stories. And we still do that when we're both at home on very rare occasions. And so imagination has become a very near and dear topic to my heart. And I thought, I wonder if I could continue to think about that in a more formal context. And so one of the things that really interests me is the idea of using imagination as a coping mechanism. And when I say coping mechanism, some people, that gives them a little bit of pause, because when they hear coping mechanism, they think, oh, that's for crazy people, or that's for depressed people. And I would argue that, yes, people who are not neurotypical definitely learn more, have more exposure to the concept of coping mechanisms than the general public.
You don't say.
But I would argue that every single person uses a coping mechanism whether they recognize it that way or not. And I just think a lot of people use like social media to cope with their reality. They like to just drown out all of their stressors with a different kind of noise.
Doom scrolling.
Yes, for sure. Which is a valid way to do it, in part. But I think there are other ways that can be potentially more constructive. And you may hear about other types that don't use imagination per se, but I'd argue that imagination can be very effective too. Basically, I think that imagination has a special ability where by definition, it's a visualization as a creative act. And when we do that, we almost create a kind of gestalt. We gain ownership over our thoughts, and we imbue them with a kind of magic that doesn't leave us as easily as other coping mechanisms, like social media. And so when we pair these kinds of imagination-based ideas with more physical actions, for example, I like the idea of a mental yo-yo, and so I'll talk about that first. You can imagine putting your stressors out into the world when you drop a yo-yo, and I'm making this motion, I don't know if this is going to be just audio or if it's also going to be video, but...
Oh, they can see at least on the video form.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you can talk through it.
So I'm what I'm doing right now is I'm flicking a yo-yo down towards the ground, and this is to symbolize that I'm putting out into the world my feelings and thoughts, if not verbally, as a kind of symbolic motion. And then when I draw the yo-yo back up with my hand, I have released that energy out into the world, and I'm bringing back just my coherence, my collectedness, and my peace. And so what this does, when you imagine, you use your imagination to think through this process, and when you physically drop the yo-yo and bring it back up, I believe that it is the combination of the physical and the mental through that imagination that really cements and makes concrete this idea of enunciation of an idea and release, and the bringing them back up, and the drawing to of yourself to a sense of peace.
Yeah, it's fascinating the way that you talk about it, because I think about imagination, and maybe you think about this differently, but imagination sort of in its most pure form is you making something up in your head, and then there's sort of this, what I would think of as like augmented imagination, where you're using various mediums, devices, multimedia to sort of assist with it, right? So if you're watching a television show and something happens off screen, you're using your imagination to fill in the gaps there. That's the TV example, but like an audio book or a book, you're actually trying to visualize that stuff in your head. And then all the way down to sort of the other end of it, where you have like a tabletop gaming, and you're like Dungeons and Dragons, and you're trying to tell a story, a collective story that you're all imagining together. Can you talk a little bit about like the differences between what I call it is pure imagination and assisted imagination, but is there like a term for that?
I'm not that sure. See, the thing is that my interest in imagination is more from a very personal background, and I wouldn't call myself an expert on imagination, if I were to be honest about it. But it's more of like a passing fascination, and to me, I feel like my claim to be able to speak on this is one from more of like a general interest. But I would say that what we call assisted imagination, as you call it, with things like Dungeons and Dragons, is based on this idea of using a system of rules to limit the possibilities of uncertainty that come with imagination. So by creating these rules that limit possibilities, you get to focus the bandwidth that is being used when you're discussing ideas, and it also gives the players a set of expectations that they can work under to advance their own imaginative play. And so this is a really good innovation, and I would call Dungeons and Dragons an innovation because it allows people to think about imagination in still a very creative way, but with the predictability that allows them to anticipate how other people will act within the system.
Interesting.
And so that's really helpful when you have a party of like 4 to 5 people and you need to know how you're going to work together to kill the bad guy or to get the treasure or to save the princess or whatever, what have you. And so that's why I think from a technical standpoint, Dungeons and Dragons is such an interesting technology because it just allows people to be imaginative together, and that's really spectacular.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about tools. I mean, would you consider that like a tool that people could use as a coping mechanism?
Well, so from what I've heard, there's actually therapists that use Dungeons and Dragons as a coping tool.
That's amazing.
And like they'll use like even games like Minecraft to work through therapy and to be therapeutic. And so that your question is right on the money. Like it is a thing that is starting to be done in therapies across the US because these tools allow you to simulate environments and they allow people to simulate emotional states.
Right.
And also, if you think about it, a fair amount of decision making goes into this as well because people are not just being funneled through a situation, they have to make decisions. And what a lot of people's issues with mental health are focused around their senses of autonomy, their decision-making ability, or like social situations.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a thing like Dungeons and Dragons, which focuses on making decisions and empowering people to feel a sense of control in their life, even if it's simulated, to socialize with other players and problem solve between people's differences of opinion.
Right. And even working within the context of the environment too, because you have things that don't happen according to your plan, and you have to
adapt.
You have to work and adapt. If you roll a natural 1 or something, you know. So it's fascinating. So I guess I want to kind of go towards the future state of this research. Where do you see it going over the next couple of years? You know, the using these tools of imagination as a coping mechanism.
That's one that I think is kind of hard to pin down because I think by nature, imagination is one of those things where it's a divergent field. It is about creativity, and creativity I like to think of is almost like an inverse of IQ. I think that creative intelligence, first of all, is a type of intelligence. And so I think and also people like to think of IQ as the only type of intelligence, but what it really is it's convergent intelligence. It's intelligence going from a lot of information and narrowing it down to one conclusion. Whereas creativity is the opposite. It starts from one idea, one set of information, and it expands outwardly.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about the study of imagination, I think it's one of those things where people will actually, in a meta way, they'll use imagination to think about imagination, and it will diverge. But that's just my best guess. I feel like I don't really have the authority to claim to know if I'm being honest. But that's just
all good.
That's just my thoughts about how it could potentially go.
Can I leave you with a little anecdote? I know you were
Yeah,
talking
for
about
sure.
we were talking about two things: social media as one, and Dungeons and Dragons as another.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that I can't remember any of the TikToks that I watched yesterday, but I can tell you I still remember rolling a natural 20 on seducing the paladin as a bard 10 years ago. So there's an anecdotal piece of evidence for you. So Eli, where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you or your research? You got a LinkedIn or a website that folks can go to?
I have a LinkedIn. So, fun story. My actual name is Jason Fitzpatrick. It's not actually Eli. So you can find me as Jason Fitzpatrick on LinkedIn. Although there is a little bit of a problem where my profile does not show up for some reason. So I actually don't know if I'm reachable. So that's a little bit
All right,
unfortunate.
we'll try to get a link in the description here for you.
Sounds good. Let's try that.
All right, Eli, thanks for coming. We'll be right back with more right after this.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Frank here again. We're over here with Natalie, and there's some really cool books that we wanted to get a little bit some close-up, more detail about. So tell us a little bit about these books.
Yeah, this is our children's book series. We have H is for human factors, and U is for UX. These were written by some of our team members all the way back during COVID, and they're available for purchase on our website.
Oh, wonderful. Can we crack open one of those
Sure.
for some example pages?
Yeah, super cute examples and illustrations. I'll just show you a preview of some of these pages.
Oh, wow.
But they make a great gift, and they're always just a huge hit.
Oh, nice.
So we have them on display here at our tabletop. You can come by and check them out.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, it's a great way to get the newest generation of human factors researchers.
Exactly.
So check out Bold Insight and some of the books that they have on here. Over to you, Nick.
Are you tired of boring lectures and textbooks on human factors and UX? Well, grab your headphones and get ready for a wild ride with the Human Factors Minute podcast. Each minute is like a mini crash course packed with valuable insights and information on various organizations, conferences, usability methods, theories, models, certifications, tools, and much more. We'll take you on a journey through the fascinating world of human factors, from the ancient history to the latest trends and developments. Listen in as we explore the field and discover new ways to enhance the user experience. From the Think Aloud protocol to the critical incident technique, focus groups, iterative design, we'll make sure that you're the smartest person in the room. Tune in on the 10th, the 20th, and the last day of every month for a new and interesting tidbit related to human factors. Don't miss out on the Human Factors Minute podcast, your ultimate source for all things human factors.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our monthly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and access to the full library of Human Factors Minute, a weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember, it depends.
Hey, Nick. We're here with Simon Chamon from Defensible R&D. Simon, what brings you here today?
Yeah, what brings me here is the Aspen or Aspire, sorry, the Aspire conference here in Chicago. I'm a human factors practitioner, and so I've always enjoyed kind of showing up to these conferences and getting to learn more about, what's happening in our community, getting to see all the nice research and panel discussions.
And I hear that you were involved a lot in the healthcare and have your own consulting company.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit of kind of the journey of how you got started with that.
Yeah, so when I was in grad school, I was studying human factors and ergonomics and getting my master's degree. And during that time, it was around like 2017, and so I was trying to figure out, what is this field, what is involved, and because I'm located in Minnesota, a lot of medical opportunities were present. So I got an opportunity to work at Medtronic. And then COVID hit, which changed the entire landscape. And then I was able to land an opportunity at NASA JSC.
Okay.
So I moved down to NASA, worked down there in JSC for a couple of years, and then when I was looking for a different opportunity, that's when I started to notice a lot of contracting opportunities. And so that's kind of when I started to notice, okay, I got one contract, and I got another, and then the kind of transition was there's a lot of options here, and so I just created my own company to grab at those options. And so was completely by accident, but it just seemed like there was a lot of opportunity, and just took advantage of it.
Oh, that's great. What kind of piece of your advice for those kind of pursuing a similar path as yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for those people who are interested in kind of consulting or starting their own company is to really just talk with the experts, talk with people in your community. That was kind of something that I was debating on because, sometimes, it's very common that you might get a contract and convert to full-time, right? And so when I was talking to the community, people who were both full-time and contract, I felt that their advice kind of ended up steering me more into that type of consulting and business world because I think it just aligned better with my skill sets and my interests. And so my advice is talk to people, let them help you guide as you're on this journey.
Oh, that's great. And this is a great place for it. A lot of people in different fields, other consultants, folks that are kind of thinking about it. So it's a great way to network with folks and kind of share some ideas and some lessons learned there. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so because I'm primarily in the medical space, the kind of projects I work are more in the cardio type of space. So currently one of my contracts is with Abbott, and Abbott Laboratories works on electrophysiology. So this is kind of ablation type of systems. And so anytime a physician who's sick and needs a type of ablation therapy, my project that I'm working on is okay, to perform this type of therapy, there's a lot of components involved, like the catheter, the visualization system, the physicians, the staff. So the projects that I kind of work on there is like, how do we build this system so that it makes the physician be able to, perform the use cases they need to make sure that the patient is safe and that their therapy is effective, and kind of, helping shape that experience and making sure that it is, of course, safe and effective for the FDA. So, yeah, that's kind of a lot of the stuff I work on there.
And it sounds like a lot of the stuff that you work on is more of kind of like a social technical system. You've got end users, patients, physicians that create the thing, kind of key things that you do to manage this kind of human systems integration problem.
Yeah, I mean, so human system integration is really kind of how we manage it, right? Because there are so many different types of components to think about, so many stakeholders, and there's so many different types of use cases, and so we really take on kind of that type of system approach of like not just understanding, like we have the user aspect of it, of course, but then also what are all the other components involved, and how do we tailor this system so that it makes really good outcomes for patients. And so a lot of that is talking to people, a lot of meetings and kind of documenting and making sure that we connect our dots and put those pieces together.
And I imagine with such a wide variety of stakeholders, there's a lot of kind of getting to common ground. Sometimes a lot of times find yourself meetings, maybe you're both saying the same thing, but saying it in slightly different ways, and just kind of need to kind of do some alignment there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm a huge advocate of relationship building, right? So getting to know your coworkers, getting to understand, that you are speaking the same language, really comes down to kind of that relationship. So it's really important to have that, and so that you're all speaking the same language.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, best of success in your path and in your ongoing projects. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. So you could just throw my name in there, Simon Shemoon. I also have a website that's called defensibleresearchanddesign.com. So you can find some information there as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, thank you for your time today. Over to you, Nick.
Hello. Hey, Nick. Hey, Human Factors Cast. Here we are talking to Nuella and Emily, both from Purdue University, and we'd love to talk to you guys a bit about your research and your experience being women of color and also working on some new upcoming technology and how you factor your experience into the way you approach new technology. So would you guys like to talk a little bit about what your experience has been so far with new technology and integrating your personal background?
Do you want to start, Noah?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to go first. And so my name is Nuella, and I'm a graduate student at Purdue University. I work at the Grouper Lab, and a lot of the work that I do is really understanding human motion, how people move, and using emerging technology to do that. So the current tool I'm currently working with is called markerless motion capture system. And I say markerless because there are two main types of motion capture systems. There's the optical markers, which is a marker-based motion capture, and then now the optical markers uses like the marker-based motion capture uses optical markers, which you put on different regions of the human body, and you're able to track movement in a 3D space. But now researchers are thinking about how do we make this less intrusive, more comfortable for users. Instead of making them wear black suits and putting the optical markers on their body, how do we carry out more naturalistic data? And so that brought out, the need for marker-less motion capture systems. And so the marker-less motion capture system I use is called the Move 4D. And one of the projects that I've been able to work on is a project I'm highly passionate about, because I was able to bring my expertise as a human factors expert and also bring, a blend of my cultural identity as a Nigerian woman from the Igbo tribe. And so with the project, what I've been able to do is to digitize and preserve indigenous dance movement by collecting dance motion in the most naturalistic setting, by having an African dancer in their African attire. And so what makes this really cool is, just like early pioneers of human factors like Lillian Gilbert, who, collected data on human movement to study how to improve industrial designs, I'm essentially doing the same thing where I'm saying, okay, how can we look outside of just cultural performance, or just performance, but really bridge a gap to cultural voices and really create a platform where people can have more engaging conversations about inclusive and, culturally inspired designs, essentially.
Yeah, that's cool. It was cool to see you light up there for a second. You were like, and then I brought in this dancer.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So, compared to Nuella, I think I have more of a personal story that led me to the research space that I'm in currently right now.
Yeah.
So, growing up, I was my maternal grandfather's main caregiver. And when I was in high school, my grandfather experienced a heart attack, for which I wasn't able to recognize that it was a heart attack, nor did my grandfather, nor did anyone else in my family. And so my grandfather was one of those people that was like, it's okay, I'll just wait till your mom gets home from work, keeping in mind that my mom commuted to work for about 45 minutes out of where we lived. And so by the time that my mom arrived, we took my grandfather to the hospital, and then they told us he is having a heart attack, and at this point a lot of heart damage has happened, and so we're gonna translate him to a different hospital that has a better cardiovascular team. Through the aftermath of that, I got exposed to a lot of the different healthcare facilities, like nursing homes, going from primary care to specialty care. And I realized that in the transition of having to go through all of these doctors and care facilities, was that they're not very good at communicating with each other. And so I started seeing as an industrial engineer how there were pieces where the healthcare system in general was just lacking in terms of efficiency, especially for patients and caregivers and family members that are just involved. And so this led me to feel super motivated to say, I want to make my own contribution to the healthcare system in a way that I could never do for my grandfather at the time. And that's how I got into industrial engineering and then ended up as a healthcare human factors engineer. So my current research focuses, and it's ironic because it's not like I intentionally was seeking to be in cardiovascular care, but I actually ended up doing research with cardiovascular care specifically for patients who go through a heart attack. And so with modern AI, as we're seeing it, it's literally becoming adapted into every space that we look at. And so in healthcare specifically, it gets a little tricky because it's not that we don't want to use the AI, it's more so that we have to be careful how the AI gets ingrained into the workflows, from diagnoses all the way to making recommendations for treatment. And so, for example, if the AI were to make an error, the big question is the physician at fault because they followed the suggestion of the AI, or are the developers of the AI at fault because they use biased data? And so one of the things that I look at is not necessarily building these AI tools, it's more so understanding how do we use the AI algorithms that other engineers are building to then better evaluate their performance and ensure that they're not amplifying existing disparities in healthcare. So, for example, even from personal experience, my family had a lack of understanding and recognizing what a heart attack was. That means that, unfortunately, a lot of Latino families are the same, and they will have a wait time to just seek care. That means that just the wait time will affect automatically the patient outcomes. And so there are other families, predominantly white, they are better at recognizing what a heart attack is. And so their outcomes will be different. So what we don't want to do is amplify the disparities in healthcare we see just from patients' characteristics to then say now this AI is being biased because it's not going to perform the same across people. And so that's what I look at into. I look at how to understand how do we reduce that bias that may prevail in these algorithms, but also overall understanding once we're able to build better decision-making tools, how do we integrate the physician to also be aware of the limitations of the AI and include the patient and caregivers into that decision-making space of how to treat the patient, how to also make sure that we're doing what the patient wants at the end of the day. So yeah,
that's very cool. Yeah, it's really cool to see how you guys take these tools that are so widely used in both academia and industry and apply them to these use cases to better understand things that we just have these gaps in. Like, it doesn't seem like we have use cases for the work you're doing, Nuala. And it seems like there's a lot of gaps that you're trying to fill by communicating where AI has its limits and the implications for people. And so I love that you guys are like getting in kind of like closer to the ground floor to better understand those. And then you can hopefully help bridge some of those gaps. So moving forward, people know these tools can be used for more than just like what we think they can be used for today. So that's really exciting. Thank you guys so much for sharing. And then do you have anyone else you want to shout out?
So as a woman of color, and I will emphasize, we're actually 3 women in the Department of Industrial Engineering at Purdue, and we couldn't have been here without shout out to Dr. Luster, who just graduated. She just finished her PhD this past summer, and fingers crossed, we're up next. And so we're really excited to keep pioneering how we blend our culture, as you said, into our research.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, back to you, Nick.
And we're back, continuing our coverage. I'm here with Will Reel, here to talk about some interesting stuff going on in the prosthetics world. Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this talk.
So happy to have you. So tell me, what's new in the world of prosthetics? What's going on?
Yeah, so we're starting to incorporate motion capture. So we really get to look at every part of the individual's body rather than just the prosthetic and the part that's attached to it. And a single prosthetic can affect the entire body through the system. And having this like in-depth look into how is this one prosthetic and changing that from a socket to an integration through surgery, how does that change the adaptability in their daily life?
Right. I'd imagine there's probably a lot that goes on just from, you mentioned the whole body, like their gait, the way that they interact with different things. Yes. So, I mean, what's particularly interesting right now about sort of the integration?
Yeah, so my research dives deeply into reactive balance. So this is kind of where maybe you've tripped or you've hit your foot going up the stairs in a weird way. And we're looking at how this prosthetic going from a socket where they might not get as much feeling and reception back from that prosthetic, and then now going into an integration into their bone. I have patients coming in and telling me they can feel a centimeter rock under their plastic foot, even though they have received surgery all the way up to their hip. So just that kind of connection to the bone builds in such a novel sensory input for our participants, and just the changes in how they move around the world and even move through their office spaces or homes has dramatically shifted the moment they receive this type of integration. We see with our patients, they come in with their socket prosthetic and we can already tell their hips are misaligned, their shoulders are trying to adjust for this, and gait is highly irregular. They have to overcompensate with one leg and undercompensate with the other. But once we see this integration, I could tell you I wouldn't have known a difference whether or not they had a prosthetic.
That's fascinating. That's so cool. And it's got to be really liberating for those folks to get some sensation back.
Yeah, one of the main goals of one of our key subjects, she is really pushing to get back into skiing. So I live and work way in the north side of Michigan, so it gets very cold up there. We have tons and tons of snow.
I imagine.
My college I work at is well known as one of the snowiest colleges in the United States. So these are people who want to get out and experience life even during the winter time. And having that integration with them has allowed her to go biking again. She can go on runs, and she's even gone to the Renaissance Fair and had an entire day out with a prosthetic and with minimal pain afterwards.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So given sort of the trend of where we're going, what does the future look like?
So the future, we're really trying to align these prosthetic constructions, the code behind them, with the natural biomechanics of the individual. Because each prosthetic has to be key and tailored towards this individual. Every person is different. The reason they're getting their prosthetic is different, and their own goals are different. We have some patients who want to go skiing. while others just want to be able to walk up and down town. And so having the information about how they can react in simple situations can allow us to further design knee mechanics and ankle mechanics so that they can simply tap a button on their phone, adjust the what model their knee joint is using, and so they can go from a walking to a running gait with a touch of a button. And we're hoping to push that even further into, all right, I want to design a key model of the knee for skiing or for cycling or for rowing activities. So
plug into the matrix and have them kind of just get whatever skill they need on their prosthetic.
The real goal is to just build a plethora of different code-based understanding of how knee mechanics work in unique situations so that we can actually implement that into these prosthetics so they can choose which activity they want to go out and do in their daily life.
Right. I imagine there's probably some place in the future where you push that even further and just have some sort of system on board that determines, detects and determines what activity they're doing and switches.
There's actually there's some starting research on that, and our first participant has kind of getting to work with that. The first thing we've kind of dove into is normal walking towards running. That seems like a natural progression of gait, and it was probably the first automated shift in those knee models that we've really seen. And it's improving a lot of people's lives because they can go from just standing up at their seat to running across the room and back. And just to see if that kind of modification could be added into cycling or playing basketball or tennis, that would be a whole new activity for them and just widening the world that they can experience.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you for your work on accessibility.
Of course.
Where can folks find you or your research if folks want to learn more about it?
Yeah, so if you want to find more about my research, I work at Michigan Technological University in the Human Biomechanics Laboratory under Dr. Carolyn Duncan. And so we work with functional biomechanics in the kinesiology and integrative physiology college.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Will. Appreciate you being on the show.
Me.
We'll be right back right after this with more interviews.
Hi, Nick. Frank here. So we're over here with Zihan and Rayansh from the University of Calgary, taking time to come talk to us today and tell us what's new, interesting, and exciting in their work. So Zihan and Rayansh, where do you come from?
So we're both from Calgary. We currently attend the University of Calgary. I am in my second year of computer science and biological science. I'm doing a combined degree.
And I'm in my second year of undergraduate software engineering with a minor in biomedical engineering.
Okay, awesome. Calgary, that sounds like a lot of fun. Well, welcome to Chicago. Looks like it's a little bit warmer, maybe a little bit rainy here today, but it's overall pretty nice. Awesome. And I hear that you have a couple of talks. I think you might have just done one today.
Yeah.
What was the first one about?
So the first one was on a multi-agent system for remote healthcare. Both of us he was sort of spearheading the quantum side of our model. So we built the multi-agent system, and then we also built a new way to validate it using a quantum model, which Rayansh here helped build. It was really fun. This was actually our first talk in like a conference like this ever. So it was it was a really fun experience, and we learned a lot. We've been having a lot of fun at HFES. Like, it's been an incredible, like, surreal experience, like, to be able to travel from Calgary to the US for the first time, and just the whole thing has been like a dream. So
that's a lot of great news. And there's a lot of in terms of resources for first-time members, new members, that we have that opening reception, be able to see what's all that's going on, and also different kind of mentor-mentee, different kinds of programs. And so hopefully you've had a chance to take advantage of some of those resources.
For sure.
So you mentioned some kind of quantum kind of things with the within the healthcare. In terms of feedback from the audience and questions, what kinds of interesting insights did you get from your first talk today?
Yeah, the audience didn't really ask specific questions about quantum. It was more so because our presentation was based on the multi-agent system, and that being a better substitute than single-agent systems like ChatGPT, for example. Especially for emergency scenarios, so scenarios like CPR or EpiPen administration, and for people who don't really know anything about the medical terminology or how to carry out proper procedures, we built this multi-agent system to kind of help them guide and go through that scenario. And for quantum model, we basically built it to validate and model the trust between the user and the MAS, and kind of see how it evolves for the MAS versus single agent systems like ChatGPT. So yeah, for quantum model, we employed something called Qiskit, which is an IBM quantum framework. And it basically allows us to do quantum computing and apply quantum computing concepts like superposition, entanglement, rotation on our normal day-to-day computers.
Okay.
So yeah, that was really fun to build, and the audience was obviously it's a new thing in human factors, and for everyone, quantum is a really new thing as well, and there is a lot of research needed in this area. So yeah, the audience were really interested in that topic, and obviously we would like to carry it further as well with further research.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. In terms of the end user, where do you see this kind of technology most helping in terms of use case scenarios and how this technology can help those in the medical field?
Yeah, I mean, right now, this is definitely still very preliminary, and this is still very fresh and raw, and there is going to be a lot of refinement that needs to be made before we could actually deploy this, but ultimately, this is something that we're hoping to just be made accessible, just deployed through AWS, either online or maybe as an app, and we think, like Rayan said, this isn't really supposed to be a substitute for emergency care in any way. This is more so just supposed to act as something that is supplementary, that if, let's say, while you're waiting for an ambulance to come, or let's say that you're in a place where EMS cannot come, you're in, let's say, the woods or whatever the case is, there's lots of context where we believe a system like this could be used. So our end goal and kind of looking ahead to something like this would be to build it out, make it more robust, and ultimately deploy it so that way it's actually accessible to the mass.
Oh, that's great news. And like you said, this is a lot of kind of cutting edge research, and that'll eventually find its way to different products and as it starts to mature. Then you kind of see maybe in future years there may be a demonstration of, hey, here's some of the quantum computing used in an application, and then kind of go on from there. Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of an exciting field. I know that these are kinds of things that are used other places to get that. We'll present that initial information and get feedback from other folks. And I think you have a second talk today. I want to say something about, was it human performance modeling and
natural language.
Yeah, natural language.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. Yeah. So the HPMNL project is basically it's also focused on the accessibility as well, but not of something like the MAS does for remote healthcare. We focus on the accessibility of the human performance model. So basically, you could think of human performance modeling as getting how much time it takes to do one task for someone who is using a prosthetic limb device or prosthetic other ankles and other assistive devices, and to gauge how good these devices are helping the individual. We could have these human performance modeling kind of systems. We have a lot of human performance models, traditional human models built already. There's things like GOM, CP-GOM, SOAR, ACDR. What we basically did is we employed AI to kind of combine all these 5 models. We used GPT-01 Pro model to kind of get all the data from last 30 years of these traditional models. And what we did is we made it accessible. So right now, if you think that we have to use these models, the person would have to have an extensive knowledge about what formulas they take in, what inputs and what outputs are, and what all these numbers mean, right? But for what we did is after employing AI and GPT into it, we made it more accessible so that the user can just put in inputs there's like a one-handed person using a prosthetic limb that has to perform, suppose, like a clothespin relocation task. So that's a really simple task where you have to like relocate a clothespin by detaching it from one end and attaching it to the other, and it's like really standard in this area as well. So yeah, what we did is like using GPT. If you just give it that prompt, GPT can basically use all 5 models to gauge the human performance modeling, like the task completion time, as well as the cognitive workload that's required for that task. So what we did is like the GPT would give all of that outputs, and then we would kind of combine all these outputs. We have that option as well to get a single like kind of time in seconds, which all of the models kind of agree on. So like this could be average, this could be also like we can rate one model. If it's like more cognitive focused versus like physical focused, then we could rate it a certain way versus the other way. So yeah, that's also like based on accessibility and other stuff. That's a really big problem right now for human performance modeling.
Yeah, I remember doing some GOMs in school, and then also some ACTAR models, and that takes like a whole graduate. There's folks that kind of specialize in that, and so it's really nice and honorable to be able to take all those models that have been built over the years and bring it. You mentioned accessibility, bring it more easier to use for kind of a wider audience of folks. Yeah, and I think it's important too with the weighting of the models. Each of the models may provide certain insights, but based on the situation, you might want to apply a little bit more weights to other models. Maybe use as a validation. Hey, 5 models loaded in, 3 of the 5 models kind of agree with, or have a model the situation one way, 2 are a little bit different, and they kind of explore what are the nuances, and maybe to help train the different, maybe in sense of models for that.
For sure, yeah.
Well, that's exciting work, and that I think that is, you said, was that tomorrow?
That's
tomorrow.
10 a.m.
Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay, sounds great. And so you mentioned you're all part of the lab. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the lab itself and the kind of exciting work that's being done there.
Yeah, so we're like, unfortunately our PI couldn't be with us, but we're under a lab with Dr. Junho Park, who is our PI, and he calls it the lab Hero Lab. So like we said, we're part of the University of Calgary, and that's sort of the premier human factors lab at U of C. And he's been like an absolute mentor. Like we said, we're only in our 2nd year of undergrad, and he was able to take us in. He taught us a lot. Like we've been given so much experiential learning and opportunities to come to conferences like these. And yeah, the lab's doing a lot of fun work, like other than obviously the HPML project and the MAS project. The quantum model that the MAS sort of laid the groundwork for has sort of been built into a more robust system. So instead of just using RY gates, so instead of just rotating along the y-axis, we're now also using entanglement to make this, like the architecture, a lot more complex and hopefully be able to model trust a lot more accurately than we can currently do. We're also working on some other projects for driving simulators using Carla, as well as a model for dehydration, and we're doing a lot of fun stuff. I think that we're learning a lot, and I think it's a cool way of sort of blending the AI with human factors and hopefully making some substantial progress with it.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's exciting work. So we have University of Calgary. Thank you for talking about the Hero Lab. So in terms of finding on social media, LinkedIn, other kinds of places, information about the lab, where can people go to find some more information?
We have a lab website actually as part of U of C. So if you search up like University of Calgary Hero in all capital HERO lab, you can find sort of all publications that the lab's currently working on, as well as other information like on who's currently in the lab, what the projects are, what publications we have out, and there's also a news page so you can kind of keep up to date with all the different things that individuals in the lab are up to.
Yeah, and you could all like find us on LinkedIn as well, like Sihan Walji, Raj War, and our PI, Dr. Junho Park as well, and everyone else who's part of the lab. Like it's really interesting stuff what everyone's doing.
Yeah, and we had a third co-author on both the presentations, Parshva Dave. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us. He had some other things to attend, but he's also like very foundational to helping with these projects.
Okay, great. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Enjoy Chicago. Enjoy the conference. There's plenty of things in HFES, both for the Aspire conference, and I believe there's also healthcare. So we look forward to seeing your work and continuing your journey here with us. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Over to you, Nick. Welcome back. I'm here with Jackie and Natalie. We're taking a look at Bold Insights. Tell us a little bit about your booth here today.
Yeah, so we are Bold Insight. We are a user experience and human factors consultancy. And we are here at HFES looking to expand on our contractor network.
Oh, awesome. Tell me a little bit about the positions that you have here. So it looks like senior HF researchers.
Yep, so we're hiring UX and HF researcher contractors. And we have information here about UX researchers and HF researchers with about 3 years of experience, and then some more on our senior level positions. For those, we're looking for about 6 years of experience.
Okay.
We're local to Chicago area. We have 2 offices here, one downtown Chicago and one out in the suburbs. So we do a lot of in-person testing. And we are looking for contractors that mostly live locally in Chicago that can help supplement our in-person testing.
Oh, great. What are some of the clients that you serve across the different industries that?
Yeah. Well, I can't name them specifically.
Of course, yeah.
We do across many industries. We're really in kind of 2 subcategories. One is in healthcare and medical devices, and the other one is more in consumer and technology.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Anything you want to say to some of the folks that are out here that are maybe not have been in HFES and are in the area?
Yeah, I mean, HFES has been a great organization, especially for those right out of school all the way through very experienced. We've met a lot of really awesome people this week that stop by and talk to us and say hi, give us a little bit of background about their research, what they're doing, sort of, the pulse check on the industry. And we've also seen past colleagues, past professors, and it's been a really great couple days just being in person with people and getting to see everybody. So we miss those that can't be here, but it is a really great event and a really great organization.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So go ahead, everyone, check out Bold Insight if you're taking a look. We've got a lot of great materials if you're here this week. A lot of great stuff, and join their contractor network.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Over to you.
Are you tired of boring lectures and textbooks on human factors and UX? Well, grab your headphones and get ready for a wild ride with the Human Factors Minute podcast. Each minute is like a mini crash course packed with valuable insights and information on various organizations, conferences, usability methods, theories, models, certifications, tools, and much more. We'll take you on a journey through the fascinating world of human factors, from the ancient history to the latest trends and developments. Listen in as we explore the field and discover new ways to enhance the user experience. From the think aloud protocol to the critical incident technique, focus groups, iterative design, we'll make sure that you're the smartest person in the room. Tune in on the 10th, the 20th, and the last day of every month for a new and interesting tidbit related to human factors. Don't miss out on the Human Factors Minute podcast, your ultimate source for all things human factors.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our monthly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and access to the full library of Human Factors Minute, a weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember, it depends.
All right, and we're back. We're continuing our coverage from this year's HFES Aspire. I'm sitting here with Isaac Flint. Isaac, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for the false start.
It's all fun.
So, Isaac, what brings you here to this year's conference?
So I'm actually coming here to do some networking and do some professional development.
Okay. So. Excellent. How's that going for you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm realizing I know a lot more people than I thought I did.
Oh, that's always good.
A lot of people I know a lot more people than I thought they did too. So.
That's always fun to find out who knows who at these types of events. So what's new in your world? What's going on?
Well, I am working on my second year of my first full-time faculty position. So, and part of that is including trying to get a lab put together. So I'm trying to work on putting together a research lab that allows me to collect data online, remotely, and to allow online students to have opportunities to participate in research and get that experience. Because the school I work for happens to be an online university. So
I'd imagine there's some challenges with setting up an online lab, speaking from experience. so what kind of things are you looking at as you set up this online laboratory?
So you're talking about like procedure or like different research projects?
All the above. Let's talk about procedure first.
Procedure
first.
First.
How does an online lab work?
So the fun part of this has been trying to convert a lab that I did my PhD in, which was more of a traditional based lab with robotic equipment. Basically, the robotic equipment was a piece of equipment where participants would make motor movements, like with their hands, like upper limb motor movements, and the robot would apply different forces to simulate an environment. So in my research, there was stuff like perturbations or rotations to the person's movement. Like if the person moved forward, the cursor would go at a 45-degree angle. And all these things that we can do in lab. Well, I'm trying to find a way to take part of that, because I can't take all of it.
Right.
I can't necessarily measure someone's muscle responses via computer. But what I'm trying to take some of the tasks though, because my focus myself has been less on the muscle activation and more on the cognitive side of things. And I believe we can still get that cognitive aspects through an online ways by essentially making online tasks, like basically like little computer game type things.
Computer game,
yeah. Via computer, except for a lot more simplified computer games.
Right. Yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot of challenges with trying to not only modify might be the wrong word, but to augment your research to be more focused on the tasks when before you had all these tools at your disposal, and now you're just kind of reliant on either participant software that they have at home, or if they're coming into a dedicated. Are you still planning to do like dedicated spaces for data collection, or?
No, basically when the participants are doing the study, they're doing it from wherever they're at when they sign up for it. We're going to be recruiting them through Amazon Mechanical Turk.
Okay.
So, for those who are not familiar, for people not familiar with Mechanical Turk, it essentially it's put on by Amazon, and what it is essentially is people can sign up for like little odds and end tasks and complete the task for essentially payment. I think it was originally set up for doing like stuff like editing type things.
Oh, like Fiverr or something?
Yeah. I think it's set up like that first originally, but the research community has found it to be a really good way to actually recruit participants as well, because rather than just giving them something that's like, hey, edit this for me, we can be out like, complete the survey.
Right.
Which is how it's been used traditionally. It's more for survey research. Now, I kind of feel like I'm doing something that is unfamiliar to me.
Yeah.
And might be unfamiliar to them too. I don't know. But I'm having them do more than just a survey, but rather an actual task that requires them to go to like a server that I have set up and do this task, record the data, and then go to another site that does like all the cognitive assessments, and then do the survey for like the demographics.
Right. So what kind of research themes are you looking at for this online lab?
So the thing that my research has traditionally or in the past has looked at is essentially the connection between cognitive abilities and motor learning and motor control. In particular, related to like aging. So as we age, it's an unfortunate truth that, cognitive abilities decline as our brain gets older and gets less efficient. And we know that impacts a lot of day-to-day life. But the exploration right now we have, or I'm looking into, is how does that affect not only our day-to-day cognition up here, but also how that translates into motor movement and motor learning. The current task I have right now is taking it kind of a step further and looking at not only the motor learning, but what happens when we introduce automated systems. AI automation, it is here, it's growing, and it's growing at an alarmingly fast rate.
Yep.
And one of the things that I don't know, is I haven't seen too much on, is how does that affect motor learning? Like, take for example, think about when you're driving a car, the traditional way of driving a car, you're learning a lot of motor skills. You're learning what's the right way to turn the steering wheel, how much pressure to put on the brake, all these little things. And what happens when you jump into another car?
Right. That muscle memory takes over and you're like, wait, that's not in the spot that I...
Yeah, it throws you off a little bit. And it takes you a little while to adjust to the fact that, well, the steering wheel is a little loose compared to what I'm used to.
Right.
Or how many times have you jumped in someone's car and hit the brakes too hard or not hard enough?
Right.
And all these are like skills because we're used to driving our own car. And the more we drive our car, the more we build up our skill driving our car because we're engaged in it. Now, what about when you have automated vehicles? Now, you're not spending all your time training your muscles on what is the fine movements of my car. You're sitting there. And automated vehicles right now, for the most part, are not at the point where they can just drive themselves all the time. There are times when that automated vehicle says, hey, I need you to take over now.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, these are in times where, well, it's not the best conditions.
Right.
Like, it's bad road conditions or visibility's down.
Right.
So you're essentially asking people to engage in a task that traditionally would have been practiced,
right,
that isn't as practiced as much anymore because, they're used to just sitting there and letting the car do the driving and doing it in conditions that aren't the best for driving to begin with.
High stakes, yeah.
So my question is then, how much motor skill loss is there? How much learning is lost because you're not engaged in the task? And the task I have set up is, it's not driving, but it's still a very simple motor task, which makes it great for the online lab because that way you don't need all the equipment. It's essentially training people to make a 45-degree movement to go straight.
Right.
We basically have them go to a target, and instead of the cursor following their hand, it goes at an angle. And eventually, what we see is their error decreases because they learn
when they practice.
They learn from practice that I got to move 45 degrees to go straight. Then what we do is we say, all right, maintain this new behavior, maintain this 45-degree angle, but the input is going to be accurate regardless of what you do.
Right.
Which is to simulate if you're like an automated driving situation or automated piloting. No longer does my errors in my movement affect the movement because, well, it's automated. After they do that for a while, then we want to see how much do they remember from the learning.
Interesting, yeah.
So then we go back to the rotation, and then we look, and the hope is to look and see how much was lost in the accuracy and how quickly can they pick it back up.
Right. That's fascinating. So what does the future of the online lab hold? Like what beyond, just basic research with collecting data and sampling, like what are your hopes and dreams for an online lab?
So my hopes and dreams on online lab beyond just collecting data and getting publications out is to actually set up a situation or a lab where students who are remote can get these skills as well. So the school I work for right now is Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, but it's their worldwide campus. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the students we have are going to be either on military bases or they're working while going through school, so they're living at their homes, and they're going to be, well, the students going to be anywhere around the world. Like I've had students who have been in Europe, in Asia, and I also have had students who were traditional students that were on their radio campus too. So I have a variety of students, but the hope is like setting a lab like this, if any one of them wants to get involved in research, they're not limited by the fact that they're not on campus.
Right.
Because they can find a lab such as this, volunteer to like collect some participant data, because the idea is that not only is the study online, but we can make it where it's synchronous, whereas we can like have a lab assistant be online through someone like Zoom or Teams, and essentially step through and give the instructions and give the readings as if they were actually at a lab.
Right.
And then monitor the progress and everything and get that experience without actually having to be at the lab.
That's wonderful. Well, let's compare notes on online labs. Isaac, where can folks find you if they want to learn more about your research or learn about your lab?
Honestly, the best way to contact me is email.
Email.
So my email is flinti, that's FLINTI, at erau.edu.
Excellent. Flint, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate you. We'll be back with more right after this. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
And we're back. I'm sitting here with longtime friend of the show, Dan Nathan Roberts.
Hi,
Dan,
how's it going?
Welcome back, man.
Thanks.
Always a pleasure to have you.
It's been a few years. And
a little bit.
It's been really cool to see how the Human Factors Cast has grown.
We've grown a little bit. So what brings you here to this year's conference?
Well, so I'm presenting on 2 panels. Hi, Rose. I think you're coming to join me. Come on in. We've got a microphone for you.
Hey, yeah, come on in.
Rose,
Come on, we're live right now.
This is perfect. It will take 2 minutes, Rose.
Look
2
at
minutes.
this. I love it when unscripted moments like this happen.
Are we crashing?
Yeah, you're crashing. Here. We'll both use this mic, and then I'll have Dan mic too.
Sounds good.
So what's going on, Dan? Why are you here?
I came here to see people like you and connect with former alumni of the same university like Rose.
Go Blue. We have to do
That's
the plug.
right.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. And I mean, I think it's nourishing to connect with my field and to see people who are so cool like you two.
And to have moments like this.
That's right.
Exactly. I was just on the other side trying to make faces to get him to get distracted, and then I got looped into this, which.
And now you're here.
That's right.
So Dan, what's going on? What's new in the field? What you noticing?
I'm noticing the next generation of leadership coming up, and the cool things that they're doing, and I think the proactive way they're being engaged, and the more mindful, differently mindful ways that they're taking the society, which Rose, I think, is a good exemplar of the the new leadership.
Oh.
Well, I am in the executive council for HFES, so yes, that I can say.
But it feels to me, and I could be wrong, that there is like a new.
Pull up a chair.
There is like a new.
Oh, you're good.
cohort.
Okay, there's a chair right here if you want it.
That there is like a new cohort of HFES leadership, and it's really cool to see. And I'm curious if you feel like there's a shared reason that you all got into it.
I think that there was, like you said, you start seeing the changes. You want to keep evolving. I think you are part of that cohort. I don't know what he wants to make a difference here, but it is that we have seen as we're growing things that can get better. There's always that continuing improvement. There may be things that were not an issue 10, 20, since inception, and we have to keep evolving as we are designing for humans, right? And we're evolving over time. And that's what happens also, what we're seeing in the society. And on Monday, it was great to see a room full of more than, I think, 70 people for the student and early career professionals. They sign up, and ended up being more than 100 in the room.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yes. So like what you're seeing is that there's more people that want to get involved. Coming here on a Monday, this is a long conference, right? Like, and they are eager to learn. Monday morning, that means they came Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
That actually says a lot. So, and we have the emerging leader programs. We have a lot of things to try to get them in the loop. And people like him, that helps us a lot on getting them involved. And they are, spreading the word of the things that we could do and be valuable.
So Dan, you were mentioning before we went on a group of folks in Toronto.
Oh yeah, that's true. But Rose wasn't here.
But Rose wasn't here. We can talk about whatever.
I could talk about the kind of cool stuff that's going on in Toronto, but like no, I think it's a cool opportunity for us to kind of think about what does the future of leadership for HFES look like. What's the next model? What are the things that people are reaching out for now that they weren't in 5 or 10 years ago? Like this, like the day-long UX that's now a mini conference.
Right. 2 days.
Yeah, right. Now it's cool to see the growth of these things. And I don't know, what do you think is next?
Well, even as simple as like last night that we were the usual annual social that I think it started by BCPE, then it was FPE, BCPE, and then you have HFES practitioners that is like a joint networking. We're also seeing that a lot of the cross functions. Normally, I think in the past it was more like you have our own buckets and silos of the TGs, and we have our groups and we have our meetings, and we're seeing a lot of those joint meetings, joint sessions, joint networks. That's something that, like what you're saying, aligns with that. That is just interesting seeing that evolution as well.
Do you think we need new TGs that are like, because the current ones don't match, or inherently we're all becoming more interdisciplinary, or I don't know, what's the role of the TGs in this if they're all joining up anyhow?
Talking about Rose, from my Rose
That's
personal
right.
hat,
That's
not
right.
executive council, I would think that there's gonna still be evolving, and we're seeing that already. We have new TGs or some that actually start merging. We have the like AI, XR, all those.
And the affinity
groups, and even within the TGs, we're seeing a lot of synergies and conversations like should we merge, which is great to see. I don't know if I have the answer in terms of how will end up being officially or something like that. But I think overall, if you ask me to bet, I would say that there will, probably be changes just because of how we see that it's, like you said, the multidisciplinary and how we keep evolving in that sense. And the AGs are great examples because they keep growing, and it's people that have certain affinity that is not technical, but then you have this boiling plate of everybody from different TGs
right
that are now part of one group, another type of affinity.
We
that
used
makes
to
it more
have the
generic.
birds of a feather, like the bicycling birds of a feather and other stuff like that, and now the affinity groups, which is pretty cool.
There's also emerging leaders too, right? You have the emerging leaders. Are you noticing any trends with some of these folks that are coming into the emerging leaders program? Like, just what are you experiencing with leadership, from your perspective?
Well, at least from last year, I did have so what we do, the emerging leaders, is that people can apply that they have not been in a leadership position. And if they get accepted, it's 2 people that get flown to be inside the closed door, confidential conversations. Not all, but you know what I mean? Like, this is the business meetings. And they get to experience it real hand, not only just to listen, they can talk, right? Like they cannot vote, but they can talk and they can bring their opinions, and we're very welcoming. They are literally in the room, the table. So they, like if they're part of the board, and we give them that opportunity. Even from just my mentee, I saw, so shout out to Adam, because then he started doing, being more involved. I saw how he started helping more in membership, in mentoring, in other groups. So we are seeing that they see the value. The feedback I've gotten is that they actually appreciate more some of the things that they may not know. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes and why a decision is made, and it is not as simple as some people may think. And in any group, any society, any business. So being in the room, I've had good feedback. I've seen them be more involved, and hopefully that's the trend, that they just get more involved and then become part of the EC soon.
Just, I know we wanted to talk a little bit about leadership too. Like, what kind of? Okay, are you leaving?
I can leave.
Okay,
I can stay.
you can stay.
I
I'm happy.
crashed it.
No, you're fine.
This
This
is a cool
is a good
topic,
conversation.
and
Look, I'm always happy to have
I've always
both
been
of
a
you.
fan.
Like, this is
This
great.
is cool.
This is great. I'm just wondering, like, both of you, are there any sort of key qualities or traits that you're starting to notice with some of these folks that are coming up as and emerging as leaders? Are there like key?
I think, yeah. in terms of key qualities or traits, one thing that I think that I notice that I'm really impressed by and proud of, I don't know why I'd be proud of it, is that I feel like a lot of the younger and emerging leaders are more willing to be vulnerable about discussing more parts of their life. And that it could seem, I think that's a vulnerability, that's a strength that brings more human to the table and allows them to kind of share more fully their life with their colleagues, but also to bring that perspective more vocally to work, and to all of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, when I think about 10 years ago, I probably didn't know any of the hobbies, or very few of them of anybody older than me, or even many of my colleagues that were at the same age as me. And I now feel like, especially in the younger generation, people are willing to share more about their personal lives in a way that has maybe less, almost, I think that there was a time where there was maybe shame for having interests outside of just ergonomics 24/7. And so that's been pretty cool.
Right.
So what's your hobby?
Oh, I like building things. I love tinkering. So now that I'm an engineering professor, I don't get to build stuff. So at home,
Let's
I go
talk.
and build stuff.
Can we talk about that? Because
Sure.
me too. What's your hobby, Rose?
Oh, wow. Well, besides traveling, because I've been traveling basically every week. So it is I've been in 56 countries or so.
Wow.
Between leisure and work. I do capoeira, which is Brazilian martial arts. And I do kiteboarding.
Kiteboarding.
Kiteboarding. That's pretty cool.
Have those taken you to other countries?
Yes. Well, yes and no. If I'm going to another country, I always look if there's a good kite spot and if there's wind at that time. And or when I went to Brazil for a wedding, I ended up going to my mestres, like actual location where, because each group has to the top a master or whatever. So I was able to go there and practice there. So yeah.
That's probably some serious capoeira cred.
It's fun.
This is what I'm talking about, though, and I don't think that has always been the case in our field.
Sure. Are you experiencing the same thing? You feel like people are more open with what their experiences are?
I think that's where we do have to give kudos to the diversity committee and the COAG, so all the affinity groups. Building that community has helped open up and evolve the society that way. And then that, I think that kind of has spread, like you said, outside of the AGs and just in the hallways and whatnot, where we have people that are more willing to be vulnerable, sharing their own experiences, especially for the students. So I think in the panel that we were on Monday, that's exactly what happened. It evolved to talk about personal balance and boundaries, and we started sharing our own experiences, and it got very deep, and it was great, right? I didn't know I was going to be talking about those things at 9 a.m. in front of 100 people, but we feel comfortable doing it. And the students, they came a lot afterwards, and they were we really appreciated that you guys were sharing, the way that you were, that informal vibe and whatnot. So we do see that.
Speaking of affinity groups, what does it take to start one of those? What defines an affinity as we're talking about some of these experiences? Could I just start a Star Wars fan affinity group?
Do you have enough people that will probably actually I'm sure, a Star Wars fan
I'm
too.
sure there's probably enough of us, right?
Well, I know that's where, don't quote me, so I don't want to give many details, but there will, they are OR, operating rules and procedures to build a new group, like student chapters as an example. If there is enough interest. And affinities, a good example was the disability and chronic illness group. When it started, it was just 5 people or so. But it's is the interest is there, the people are willing to volunteer and do the efforts. Is there a need, right? Is there not much overlap that maybe you join forces with another one? Then that's an example that it can be done. And at the same time, it might go dormant for a year if people may not be volunteering. It's so it will still evolve, and I think that there might be changing. There may be merging and things like that. Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but you were hovering, so.
I guess I called it, yes.
But it's awesome, and I think of you as a phenomenal leader and rising star, and it's cool to get a chance to pick your brain. So I appreciate you letting me, teasing me so that I could call you out.
He's not saying that because he's my friend, but no.
That's right.
But because we're being recorded, is that?
You'll pay me.
He's being recorded. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Thank you. No.
This is awesome.
I love conversation. This is why we come to the conference, right? Like stuff like this, the unplanned. I could plan this all day, and it could never happen as organically as this did.
I guess that is true. We had the joke that I was trying to not be a part of the panel this time. I was sending him a lot of people.
you were so determined.
And then I ended up being part of it.
You're here.
Yep. And here I am. Say.
Roped you both in. All right, Dan Nathan Roberts, where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you?
LinkedIn, Dan Nathan Roberts, or Dr. Dan NR. San Jose State, you can find me on the faculty websites.
Excellent. Rose Figueroa, where can folks find you if they want to learn more? Connect.
Similar.
Look her up on LinkedIn, Dan Nathan Roberts.
Rose Figueroa in LinkedIn, and I'm at Rimkus, and I'm also a belonging and an action at Clemson, so LinkedIn is the best way.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you both for being here. We'll be back with more right after this.
That was awesome.
Hey, and we're back. With us here today is Crystal from San Jose State University. Crystal, tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the research that you're doing.
Sure. So I'm Crystal Fawcett. I'm an assistant professor at San Jose State University. I am entering my third semester teaching there, which is really wonderful. I teach human-centered cybersecurity courses, as well as this title's super long, but it's user-centered information architecture and prototyping, which I treat as kind of a more traditional human-computer interaction style course. I'm actually a San Jose State alumni, so I got my bachelor's degree in psychology at San Jose State, and that's really where I first dipped my toes into the field of human factors. Went away for grad school and was able to come back, and they let me back in, which is awesome. And so it's been kind of a full circle moment and really cool to give back in the same community that, I received so much mentorship from myself, or mentorship for myself.
Yeah. And coming from the San Jose State program, it gives you a unique perspective of the student that's been there, and that way you can talk to them some of the early things, especially coming from undergraduate, maybe from a different place, transitioning to what it's like at San Jose State.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually started my educational trajectory in community college, so I think even just that kind of being able to talk about that whole transition from going to a community college to then a four-year university and then on to graduate school and then kind of conquering academia, it really, gives you a different perspective, I think, about, the kinds of students and what our students might be experiencing and dealing with. Yeah.
And you mentioned one of the classes that you teach, human-centered cybersecurity.
Yes.
What are some of the topics that are covered there?
So we talk about everything from how to design an interface that is usable. So one of the projects my students will do is create a just warning design for, let's say you plug in a USB drive and it might be trying to auto run a malicious program. My students will kind of take a pen and paper and draw out what exactly that warning should communicate, what the buttons should be, should there be any sort of timeout for it, what is the most secure option, what is the safest option, and how do we make that also the easiest option for the user? Or if they know that the USB is safe, how do we make it, not super annoying for them to actually say yes, please go ahead and run this drive anyway. We also talk about different perspectives. I come from a background that was very kind of healthcare and aviation focused. And so what I find myself doing a lot is borrowing kind of what we know about human factors in those more explored domains and trying to apply them to the field of cybersecurity. So For example, I think a lot about human error in cybersecurity. We know from healthcare that kind of this blaming and shaming when errors are reported really isn't good for overall system safety, because your healthcare providers maybe aren't willing to come forward when they have an accident or a near miss, and then you're left with kind of these latent failures in your systems. And so we know that kind of a more just culture model is what tends to work better for reducing or mitigating those errors. But with a field like cybersecurity, I think it is still largely pretty blame-centric. You know, they'll send out phishing simulations, tests by your company, and if you click on a link, then you're in trouble, you're put on a performance improvement plan, and I'm not sure that that's exactly the right approach for how we should be doing things there. If we think about different kinds of errors, like knowledge-based errors, skill-based errors, rule-based errors, when someone's clicking on a phishing link, I don't really think it's a knowledge-based error. I think a lot of people kind of understand what cues they should be looking for. I think people have been through enough trainings to know that these things exist and there's something they should be on the lookout for. But the reality of the situation is, you're waking up first thing in the morning, you're fatigued, or you've been working all day, and we're really, really good at reading emails, and we're really, really good at clicking on links. And so I think when people make these errors, it's not a knowledge problem. You can't throw more training at it and fix it, right? It only comes from this kind of usability standpoint, or this shift in company culture, organizational culture, designing better systems.
Well, that's great, and that you're applying some of the lessons learned from aviation with that anonymous reporting system, and some of those things to create a better culture for cybersecurity and informing users.
Yeah, trying to. I think that human factors is so relatively understudied in a field like cybersecurity because it's difficult to get access, right? There's not a lot of cybersecurity companies that are like, yeah, sure, we'd love to have a psychologist come stand in the corner and observe us and tell us, how bad our teamwork is or whatever that might be. So it is very difficult to kind of be a human factors researcher interested in this domain that really prioritizes things like confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information.
And I think Nicole has reminded me that part of was at the early.
Yes, the Early Career Faculty Academy. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it was actually the first year that this has been done at HFES, which was really cool and exciting. It was myself and probably about 20 other early career faculty members. So either they just started or it's the beginning of their first or second year. And it was really nice just to kind of meet those people that are kind of experiencing some of the same things that I have, mental health, which was really cool. And we talked about grants and teaching and, ways to really help your tenure package, which was something that was very nice. And what's even cooler is they invited us all to come back again next year for the new cohort. And so I think it's going to be this really cool pipeline of mentorship going forward, which is fantastic. Another very sweet thing that we did was we had lunch with the doctoral colloquium. So it was, a bunch of early career faculty and a bunch of doctoral colloquium students, and we just talked and met each other, and we actually ended up writing them a letter at the end about why they should be a professor, which was super cute and just very, wholesome of HFES to think of. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good to have those resources. I know that HFES has done a lot of early career professionals, but the niche of the early career faculty or academy.
I was trying to say cup of coffee earlier, and I said cop of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to get those resources for that kind of niche of folks. What kind of advice would you want to give to, say, folks that are thinking about joining HFES Aspire, attending the conference, or just kind of new students that are here this week?
Well, you should absolutely join. It's I think one of the best things that you can do at any point in your academic career is get involved in research and get involved in conferences and presenting that work. Really, no matter what stage you are in the process, I would encourage more undergraduate students to get involved and really start having access to the kind of community and mentorship that comes with attending conferences like this. It's phenomenal, and I think that the potential outcomes from just attending this one conference that I've seen in my own personal network and that I've heard from others is enormous, right? There's internships, there's job opportunities, there's collaborators, there's mentorship, there's just so many wonderful things.
Oh, that's great. Where can we find you in terms of like LinkedIn, other kinds of resources?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know what my link would be, but Crystal Fawcett. I'm also at San Jose State University, so I'm sure you can find my faculty webpage that way. And Dan Nathan Roberts is my co-director. We're starting a lab at San Jose State called the Fish Tank. We'll be looking at some of the cybersecurity human factors problems that I discussed earlier. So stay tuned for more on that.
Great. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, Crystal.
Thank you.
And Frank and Nicole, over to you, Nick.
And we're back continuing our coverage from HFES Aspire here in Chicago. I'm sitting here with Dr. Kelly Steelman. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
So glad to have you. Always a pleasure when you're here. I love having you on. So what brings you to the conference this year?
Well,
everything, all the things?
Everything, all the things. So, I'm up at Michigan Technological University, which is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We're about 8 hours north of Chicago. So when HFES Aspire comes to
you're in
Chicago,
the area.
It's like our hometown conference, right? And so this year we were really excited. I think we've brought 17 students, 8 faculty, and we've got over 8 alumni who've come in. So I think this might be the biggest Michigan Tech human factors contingent that we've ever had at the conference. And so it's an exciting year for us.
That's crazy. I think we've had a couple other Michigan Techers on the.
Yeah.
What do you call yourselves? Michigan Techers?
Huskies.
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 A couple other Huskies on the program this year. So what's new? What's going on?
Well,
in your neck of the woods.
I think now is a really great time for human factors at Michigan Tech. We've seen some pretty fantastic investments in our program in the discipline. A few years ago, I guess it's about 6 years ago, they launched the Tech Forward 1.0 initiative, and it talked about the built world, the digital world, the natural world, and the human world. And it really centered those kind of conversations around how humans interact with all of those. And that emphasis really allowed us to increase the visibility of our programs. We changed our department name to be Psychology and Human Factors to make them more visible. We launched a new undergraduate Human Factors program, and that is growing. We redesigned our general education program at Michigan Tech and launched Essential Ed. And some of the things that I'm super excited about, having been involved in that process, is that we now have engineering psychology as one of our foundational courses that first-year students can choose from.
That's critical.
And we have a human-centered design minor, interdisciplinary minor, that our department is hosting and integrates courses from around campus that students can take to satisfy a segment of their general education requirement. And so they can choose between that and a variety of other areas like entrepreneurship, leadership, AI ethics. There's a wide variety of them. But this has been a way for us to make human factors and human-centered design very visible to students, not only our own majors, but to students across campus and in lots of different fields. And of course, we would love to see more human-centered design practices being infused into senior design projects. And we have an enterprise program that's like student-run companies that work on projects, capstone-style projects. And so this kind of investment and these curricular changes kind of allow us to elevate those kind of conversations around the role of the human in the system and make sure that those are considered early and often throughout the design process.
Partner institutions? You work with partner institutions? Is that like part of the whole thing too?
Like through the enterprise program, or yes, a number of them work actually with industry, and so a lot of our students are in the HIDE Humane Interface Design Enterprise, and a lot of our students are working on a project for Whirlpool this semester, which is pretty great.
I'd imagine that visibility transfers outward to.
I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
I would hope so.
Other schools take note. This is the model, right?
And so, so this has been great. We've added, these new programs. And then last year, I got a call from the upper administration that said, we need you to move. We need you to move out of your building.
Is that good or bad?
Well, I think anytime that you have a big change, it's maybe a little scary, right? Big transitions. What is it going to be?
Yeah.
What kind of resourcing are we going to get? And having just moved in this summer, I'm delighted to say that it was a real investment. It wasn't being pushed aside. It was really cool because early in the design process, we were able to request having some designers brought into the engineering and architecture firm to sit down and talk with us about what we wanted our space to do for us. Because we are, a small program at a school with a engineering identity. Our previous home on campus was on the edge of campus. It was across the street.
Right.
So, but in a way that students who maybe, people ask them, what's your major? And they say psychology or human factors. And they're like, what? They have that, at Michigan Tech.
We're the basement across the corner.
Right. They feel, and we had our own building, but I think they
Right.
still felt on the edge and not part of the central part.
Central.
And so, the opportunity to move to Central Campus was kind of exciting. But we also were moving into a building that didn't have classrooms in it. And so as a department, how do we get our students to come and spend time in the department? How do we build a space that students want to spend time in? How do we build a space that makes people feel community? And so we originally kind of sat down with our faculty and we looked at the floor plans and we spent time ripping them apart and brainstorming ideas.
That's awesome.
and trying to think, like, what could we do given the footprint that we have, and how could we transform this space to be more collaborative, and to build community. The other thing is that we're moving into a building that overlooks the canal on campus.
Ooh.
So all of the faculty got beautiful views over the water, which was nice.
That's a nice.
But the other part of the building is actually underground.
Okay.
So it's built into the hillside. And so what do you do building student-centered spaces when you don't have any windows, right? When you're underground, right? You don't want people to feel like they're in the dungeon. And so we were able to work with the designers, talk to our students. Over the years, they'd said, if we could have anything, we'd want plant walls, right? We want happy lights. It gets very dark in the Upper Peninsula in the winter, right?
Sure,
we want these features, and we talked about, almost building a space that if we could make it a museum to good design, we could put a plaque on the wall, like no Norman doors, right?
That's cool.
In our space, and so when they pitched us the idea and showed us, I was so excited. And I'm even more excited that it's built. We have the first artificial windows on campus.
Wow.
And so in the part where we have the hillside, there are artificial windows and they're above eye level. And so you get that sense of the sun coming in. People are shocked to find out that they're
underground?
It is really disconcerting. But the cool thing is that they are GPS linked, and the lighting rises, it increases throughout the day,
so cool.
and sets in the evening, which, because it gets so dark in the winter, we can actually move to a much better place on the planet during the winter and have more sunlight coming in. And so this has been wonderful because we've had folks who work in other buildings on campus that come over and are like,
sure.
I need, how do I get these in my space?
So do you have the graduate students there up all night because you've messed with their circadian rhythms and said, you know?
No, but speaking of circadian rhythms, we tore out a conference room that had been previously, a very faculty-centric space, and opened up the whole main part of the department, and we put in a coffee bar, and we started a mug club. So all the students and faculty, we bring in, the paint to pop people, and they get to paint in, keep their mug up on the coffee bar. So that is kind of like a center of life. And then we built kind of this co-working space around it. Lots of different kind of seating. Our students, especially our human factors students, had a lot of opinions on our furniture.
Oh, I'm sure.
And gave us some great advice as we were picking that out. And but the lighting in that space, actually, we can control both the color temperature and the brightness. And it is programmed to adjust throughout the day, aligned with circadian rhythms, to kind of help maximize performance.
Sure.
And so
you should probably go home and sleep.
Right. Well, it's actually fantastic at about 5. Like, there is a distinct thing, and it's like, we're going to be done now.
Right.
I actually think it has really helped keep our faculty meetings on
track.
On track. It's like, it is time to go. The building has spoken. And then we were able to put in plant walls. And we found a company that actually, they're technically preserved plants. They're, I like to call them taxidermy plants. I don't know if others like that, but they are beautiful green walls of real plants that should stay in that state for about 25 years.
Wow.
And so I was almost taken aback when I saw the finished product.
I need to see a video of this place.
It is super cool. But the thing that I love about it is that there is no other place on our campus that's like it.
Right.
I think that it really shows our students that there is a home designed for them with attention to the things that are important,
that matter.
Right? To folks who are thinking about humans in design. When we ordered our furniture, we got these 2 booths, and the first feedback I got was, the legs on the tables trip me. And we're like, we cannot have this. We called the manufacturer and said, listen, we're a human factors department. Like, we can't have tripping hazards or ones that aren't accessible. And we bought a lot of furniture for them. So they shipped new table legs to fix the problem and installed them.
Amazing.
And so, we're still looking for places that we can improve, but students are using the space. Our undergrads and grad students and faculty are having their meetings in this co-working space. I think it's changing the dynamic of the department.
Yeah, really.
Both our undergrad and grad students are planning more social events, using it in formal and informal ways. We were able to build new labs. And so we've got, 3 of our labs in this space. One of them is complete. The other 2 we're still finishing kind of like furniture purchases on. We have another kind of dedicated space for a driving sim lab that we didn't upgrade yet, but we have moved our driving sim into we have another building where some of our faculty have labs, our new HSTEM building. And so that's where our aging and cognition lab, which houses most of our neuroscience equipment, is, and our driving simulators over there in the short term until we build that new facility. So, but all in all, I'm really excited because, to me, this feels like a place that's really investing in human factors. We have a job that's open for an assistant professor in human factors this year. And
sounds like a great place to work.
I've been there 13 years, and I really enjoy it, and kind of seeing how the program has evolved and how we've been able to kind of get a space really designed for us, and that there's more awareness of what human factors is, how it connects into the other disciplines on campus. Seeing a growth in true interdisciplinary partnerships has just been really gratifying to see.
So I know we talked a little bit about making improvements here or there, but what's sort of next steps?
Oh boy, what are the next steps?
What's the future?
Continuing to grow our program. I think as with all of human factors, it takes a lot of outreach to tell the story of the discipline.
You know a thing or two about outreach, right?
Right. Yeah. So, so I'm really kind of looking forward to more creative ways to get the word out. This couple of years ago, we actually partnered with our education and outreach group on campus. They used to do escape rooms, right?
Okay,
Like that was
yeah.
one of their big things. And during the pandemic, they couldn't lock a bunch of students in.
Sounds like a bad idea.
Right? Not wise. So they started building these kits that you broke into instead of breaking out of. And they trademarked it. They called them the unboxed challenges. And so a few years ago, we went to them and said, you're doing a lot of these unboxed challenges. They're, problem solving, critical thinking, teaching a lot of those human skills. But they weren't, and they had themes like, CIA or treasure hunt or space odyssey. I was like, can you do a discipline specific one? Like, could we build one about human factors? And so we spent over a year collaborating. Like I got them to read, some human factors books. We met a bunch of times and they designed one unboxed operation. We're actually going to be demoing it on Friday morning. And it is basically a 3 challenge game where students have to diagnose a patient, design an operating room or pick the best design, and then build a pacemaker. And there's kind of a set, like the directions for the third one are like your worst nightmare, and then you can upgrade to like pristine, better human factors, informed. Right. And so, I mean, it's all gamified, and like the whole point is that when you're done, you can ask people like, what was frustrating about this experience? What are things that you noticed, and lead them to some human factors concepts. And so it's kind of a soft sell, and we've been able to incorporate that into our summer youth programs, so our camps, in other kind of outreach. And the nice thing is that we paid them to build it for us and to create the kits, but now their outreach office has them and they can take them on the road, so it takes them the work off of our department. But we're looking for like cool ways to tell the story of human factors and engage different folks. And so we're able to incorporate that in some of our health related programming as well, to let people know, hey, if you're interested in health, there's actually other disciplines that are not medicine that you can make a real difference in the lives of people. So we're trying like different ways like that, to get the word out about it.
It's the future.
And so we're seeing more. Originally with our human factors program, like students would come to tech and they'd transfer into it. Like once they discovered us, we're getting campus visits for human factors now.
That's cool.
Which is super cool. Like our regional admissions managers who are out there are now knowledgeable about what it is. And so when they've got those students who are like, I'm interested in engineering and computing, but I'm, taking these psychology courses and I'm really interested in people and making a difference. They're like, I think that we have a program that you might like. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about the potential for growth there. Michigan Tech just transitioned to an R1 university, and I don't expect, our research was already growing. That's why we kind of transitioned. But we're seeing more and more funding in our department. Several faculty in our department just got a MURI grant through the DoD and is going to be bringing in a bunch of new grad students. So times are looking pretty good right now.
Bright things ahead.
I'm optimistic, right? I'm optimistic.
With the lights, bright things ahead, right?
That's right. Until 5 p.m.
Couldn't resist. Kelly, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Sure thing.
Where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you, Michigan Tech, anything that we talked about today?
Well, they can go to the Michigan Tech website, mtu.edu. My email is Steelman, STEELMAN @mtu.edu, and I'd be happy to talk to folks.
Excellent, Kelly. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with more right after this.
Hey Nick, Frank over here at the exhibitor showcase. We've got some great folks here at Texas A&M. So welcome back this year. I think we met Texas A&M folks last time in Phoenix, so it's great to have you here again today. So we've got Jesus and we've got Alan.
Nice to be here.
Tell us a little bit about some of the lab work that's going on here at Texas A&M.
So me and Alan have the pleasure to work at Dr. Francis Angoja's lab. As you know, he's very involved in HFES and he's breaking ground with over 20 submissions.
He does a great job.
We do a lot of work on healthcare. As you can see, we're sponsored by the School of Public Health and the Industrial and Systems Department. Our work a lot is on remote technology, so we're breaking ground on how to better manage chronic conditions and stress among people, especially college students. As you know, it can be pretty stressful these days with everything going on.
Yeah, that's great. I know, and Dr. Farzan does, a lot of great work, always very supportive of HFES. So I believe from last year's discussion that there are different aspects, industrial engineering, but also different other departments that work together at Texas A&M.
Right. Within our industrial and engineering department itself, we have 5 focus groups. We have 5 focus groups, of which human factors in the healthcare systems is actually only one of those large groups. We also have like manufacturing, data science, operations research. I think there's one more.
Systems.
Is it systems? Something
Okay.
systems.
Yeah, no worries.
And we collaborate, especially in the health and human systems side, we collaborate a lot with different departments. One, the School of Public Health, of which one of our PhD students in Dr. Sasankahar's lab, Martha, if you've met her, she's actually a worker at the Center for Worker Health, and we have a master's student as well in the School of Public Health. And so we find a lot of opportunities to collaborate there. But you know, even between different labs and such, there's different opportunities. I'd say we talked a little bit about the healthcare side of our research, but we have grad students in our lab that focus on worker defense for attention monitoring, driving, and even more. We do have a student in oil and gas as well. So there's a lot of areas where Dr. Sasankar kind of casts his net. And a lot of different students in a lot of different areas that they can learn.
Yeah, so it's not just a lot of different disciplines, but also a lot of different domain areas to
That's
apply
right.
those disciplines.
Absolutely, because we work a lot on procedures and safety, for example. So even although we might concentrate on petroleum and oil and gas safety, we can also apply those procedures in some other areas to make sure that workers are safe and sound while performing their work.
And I also imagine it's a great opportunity to learn from the different domains, kind of working through different constraints, and then also kind of different application opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Our lab is lots of different disciplines: oil, gas, safety, procedures. We are part of the health part of our lab. So we're always talking with each other and trying to learn a little bit of what we may be able to implement in our own research and studies.
That's a great, and it's also at HFES, it's also a great time to be able to interact with some of the folks that you might have heard about and seen other kind of parts of the lab and kind of all get together.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many people here that I just meet on Zoom, and it's really strange but amazing to be able to see them face to face in these days.
Right.
You get to talk and you get to meet new people that bring better things to your research and work. So it's really amazing the opportunities that this brings to us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we've got a student in our lab. Her name is Nilsu. She's an undergrad. She interned with us last summer for 3 months from Turkey. And she actually was able to get a visa to come to the conference this year and participate and really learn and grow. And so it's been really exciting because I only ever see her on Teams. And it's been a year since I met her in person. So it's really nice to kind of come back and have some reason for us all to get together and spend time together. So I really enjoyed that part about HFES.
Yeah, especially with a lot of distributed work, more online stuff on Teams, virtual kinds of things, having kind of physical opportunities to catch up and network with each other.
Absolutely. Nothing beats face-to-face. It's just nice to connect with people here and make new friends.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time today. And everyone check out Texas A&M.
Yeah, it was
Over
definitely
you,
a
Nick.
pleasure. Giglam.
Oh yeah, thanks Giglam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
talking with you.
Yeah, you can see it gets crazy out here. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll take your thing back.
for editing.
Yeah.
All right. I know that wasn't the program that we hoped to bring you, but it was certainly a lot of it. And you know what? That's going to be it for today, everyone. And I really hope you liked this conference coverage in spite of it not being a live stream. If it was actually more convenient for you to watch and listen to this as after the fact piece of media that accompanied the conference, let us know. That's important feedback for us to know. If you think it's better for us to do this in the future, we'd love to hear it. If you like the conference coverage, go listen to any of our other conference coverage episodes that we have out there. Comment wherever you're listening with what you think of the coverage and the live stream. I guess this wasn't really a live stream. It's in the notes, though, so I'm going to read it. You want us to do this again? Especially in this format. That's really valuable to us. Despite everything, I had an absolute blast, Frank. How about you?
Oh, I had a great time. It's always great to meet a lot of people and get a lot of different perspectives. We got a lot of first-timer perspectives, and looking forward to following up with them to see how it went.
Yeah, I think we had a really good spread of topics and levels of expertise, and just it was very representative of the conference as a whole. I think this is, despite all the technical issues, probably one of my favorite years that we've done coverage for the HFES annual meeting. All right, let's see here. Couple more things. Visit our official website, sign up for our newsletter, stay up to date with all the latest human factors news. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, there's a couple things you can do. I know we've not been around, but I still got to do this. You can leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform of your choice. That really helps us grow. It helps people find it. Even though we haven't been publishing over the last year, it still really helps. You can tell your friends about us. We've heard so many stories of folks and their experience with the podcast over the years. So just thank you to you. And of course, if you want to support us financially, we come back to this conference every year with better and better gear, hoping to bring you better and better coverage. You can always support us financially at Patreon, and that's patreon.com/humanfactorscast. All right. There's a lot of thank yous here, and I just want to make sure that we get through this list of thank yous. Huge thank you to the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society for access to the event, permission to live stream and record. Huge thank you to HFES leadership for encouraging us, supporting us, and engaging with us. Huge thank you to the HFES staff for basically assisting with the technical pieces of it and the logistical considerations. Huge thank you to all the volunteers that stopped by and helped us record, helped us talk through some of the things that we wanted to do in the future, and to our new volunteers in the lab. Huge thank you to you. The Human Factors Cast Digital Media Lab, thank you to you all. You had a tremendous presence in helping us get things over the finish line this week. Patreon supporters, thank you all for continuing to support the show. IBR for supporting our attendance here. We couldn't do this alone. We couldn't get here by ourselves, so thank you. And then listeners like you, the person who is on the other end of this camera at this moment. Thank you. Really appreciate you. If you're watching this, that means you've made it to the end of this live stream. And sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to what we've done over this last week. As always, links to all of our socials and our website are in the description of this episode. We'll include as many links to all of the guests that we had on as well in the description. And I think I'm a little rusty here, but Frank, thank you so much for your on-site support.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Throughout the conference. What's the thing that you're taking away here from this year?
I think we're building a great community. Every time we go to these different events, we meet a lot of new people, and people have kind of, from previous years, have kind of stopped by and say hi, and they bring friends. So we're really growing a nice movement here.
I think so too. Where can folks find you if they want to connect with you, learn more about you, your work?
Yeah, LinkedIn's the best place to find me. I think it's Frank-Lacson. And yeah, that's a best place for that.
Thank you, Frank. Special thanks to Erin, Gustafson, and Nicole Baah for the behind-the-scenes support. As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. You can find me on our Discord and across social media at Nick_Roome. Thank you so much for tuning into Human Factors Cast. And until next time, it depends.
Are you tired of boring lectures and textbooks on human factors and UX? Well, grab your headphones and get ready for a wild ride with the Human Factors Minute podcast. Each minute is like a mini crash course packed with valuable insights and information on various organizations, conferences, usability methods, theories, models, certifications, tools, and much more. We'll take you on a journey through the fascinating world of human factors, from the ancient history to the latest trends and developments. Listen in as we explore the field and discover new ways to enhance the user experience. From the Think Aloud protocol to the critical incident technique, focus groups, iterative design, we'll make sure that you're the smartest person in the room. Tune in on the 10th, the 20th, and the last day of every month for a new and interesting tidbit related to human factors. Don't miss out on the Human Factors Minute podcast, your ultimate source for all things human factors.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast Network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our monthly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and access to the full library of Human Factors Minute, a weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember,